Welcome, everybody, to round number 7 of the 2020 Ride365.com Nationals. Live here on Start Your Systems. Of course, my name is Kellen Brauer, and we are here for Washougal. It is past the halfway point of the season. We're moving into that second half of the Nationals now, and we have got a lot to talk about. But, of course, we're going to start off the evening with the 250 action. Two 250 motos on the docket, ready to go, and, of course, probably a consolation race as well. But before we do that, let's go ahead and jump into these qualifying times real quick, which I'll pull up onto the screen now. 250 class already had about a day of qualifying. There was a little bit of a delay getting the track out this week. But, yeah, this is what times looked like after pretty much one day of qualifying. Payson Johnson on a 224.5 to Tyler Lang's 224.6. Remember, Lang has really closed up this title fight here in the last couple weeks. Colby Eaglin, Isaiah Dickerson, Braden Carter inside of the top 5. We're looking for some turnaround out of Carter this week. He's had a rough couple of weeks trying to fight Payson Johnson in this championship. Of course, what we're about to see, though, is everybody 37 on back. Jake Kazarian, Felix Anderson, Nathan Guy, Noah McLaughlin, Nick Tomasunis, Mac Holmes, Jacob Hubbard, Max Spokes, just to name a few that are going to be going into the consolation race. And they will all be needing to fight their way into the motos by finishing top 4 in the consolation race, which will run 4 laps. And we'll probably jump in that in just a minute. But look at the standings here. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Tyler Lang has definitely closed this thing down, just 1 point back of Payson Johnson after a good couple weeks on the trot, and he's looking to build on that momentum and maybe steal this points lead away from Payson Johnson. Lang already has the red plates in the World Grand Prix Championship that is ran on Monday evenings. Of course, we did not run the live broadcast from Keegum's on Monday. I was instead in the PulpMX studio, some of you may have known. But we're going to rebroadcast the Latvian Grand Prix at some point, probably later this week. I would assume maybe Friday at the moment, but I'm not going to swear to that just yet. We're going to try to get something planned there to rebroadcast that. But again, Lang 1 point down of Johnson. Braden Carter 20 points down of Johnson, so he's definitely lost out here late. And Eaglin still in it with a shot there with 194 points, only 33 points back of Johnson, I should say. And trying to keep it close at least to maybe have a fight down the stretch. But let's go ahead and jump ourselves into the game. As, like I said, I believe the consolation race is going to get started here any minute. Or may have actually already started. I could be late on the trot here. But remember, 4 laps, top 4 go right into the motos. The others, well, they just head back to the semis. Their day is done. No chance at making it into the 450 class either. Whatever class it is that you try to qualify for in Race Director Gaming competition is a class that you are then signed up for officially once UIDs have been grabbed for the first set of UID grabs that happen. There's one for the 250 class at 5:30 and one for the 450 class that goes on at about 7:20 p.m. Pacific. That's 10:20 p.m. Eastern time, but we'll see those 450 guys later. Right now, it is the 250 class at the MX Simulator Washougal National Round 7 of 11. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Pretty much just about a month left of racing in MX Simulator. Of course, the real-life Nationals will be getting underway next weekend at Loretta Lynn's. But these guys obviously decided during this downtime with no Nationals racing, we still wanted to try to host a series, which they did very well so far. And they're going to bring us down to the very end. So let's get loaded back in and we will see who's on the gate. Looks like about 15 people lined up for this one. As mentioned, some of the names we were already going through: McLaughlin, Hubbard, Daniel Paz, Rasmus Eriksson, Darius Peterson, Chandler Bloxham, Dominic Teverino, that's a name we haven't seen in a little while. Mac Holmes out here as well. Nate Tunnell, Nick Tomasunis, Max Spokes, Gavin Smith, Brady White, and Trevor Schaefer look to be the 15 riders that are going to be set to go racing here. So if you haven't already got revved up for the night, maybe you are settling in with a nice snack. Maybe you have dinner sitting on your desk, or maybe you just have a nice fresh beverage. Whatever it is that you have, grab it and enjoy the rest of the evening, because we have got 3.5 hours of live action here in MX Simulator on Start Your Systems. It starts with the 250 consolation race at Washougal. Let's go ahead and drop that gate, ladies and gentlemen. Land rush out of the inside, some banging from the 507 of Tomasunis and into the first corner. Tiberino runs everybody a little bit wide, but he does pick up the whole shot here in this consolation race. So that number 77 machine and immediately goes down. So up horsepower hill the first time. It is going to be Schaefer from, looks like Hubbard. The 180 of Peterson is up there. The 214 of Erickson's got a good start. And I see McLaughlin also there on the 124 as they all head over the hill the first time. It's actually a pretty stacked consolation race for this late in the season, I have to admit. Still a lot of these 250 guys trying to make it into the motos. But it's Schaefer leading the way as he comes down to the bottom of the hill for the first time. Back up through the center of the circuit here, and then this is the tricky drop down into the switchbacks. Around the outside, Peterson had momentarily taken the lead away, but then gets closed off in the next corner, so Hubbard gets a 2 for 1. As mentioned, those two hairpins are going to be tricky. Peterson tries to shoot down the inside, block off the outside line that Hubbard was taking, but the 46 machine powers through and holds on to that position. So it's now Hubbard from Peterson. We got Schaefer dropping back to third, and he's immediately being pressured here by McLaughlin. And Mac Holmes, who goes down. Mac Holmes is down, as is, we also got another rider, Max Spokes. So a couple of the Macs on the ground. And they're going to have to pick themselves back up and charge to the front. It is Peterson leading through this downhill section here. It's kind of a left-right chicane, and then at the bottom here, this table. And you really go deep into the trees here right before the finish line jump. You kind of cut back in through the center of the circuit and out onto the flat stretch. And this is, I think this is a 12-pack of whoops before the finish line jump. So these guys are going to, looks like triple their way through here for Peterson as he leads lap number 1. Trevor Schaefer, Hubbard still right there, and McLaughlin now comes across the line in P4. Nathan Guy trying to sneak up and make this interesting though on the 171, and he's going to get around Trevor Schaefer, who was down on the 194. So Schaefer going back into the 5 spot. He is going to need to charge up and catch Peterson, who just regrouped from a crash in his own right. So we've got a bit of musical positions here early on. Peterson, again, a little bit of a slide out there, nearly tucking the front wheel. And our front 3 opening up a bit of a gap now. McLaughlin, Nathan Guy battling it out for second down by the mechanics area. And then through this first couple corner complex here, it's a drag race all the way up Horsepower Hill, trying to scrub it down, get that power back down, and then get over these rollers clean, downside that little last hump, and then all the way to the top of Horsepower Hill. Through the trees here on the south side of Washington State, just across from the Oregon-Washington border. Washougal much closer to Portland, Oregon, than it is to Seattle, Washington. You're referencing major cities in the area. Portland only about 15 minutes away as McLaughlin goes down. And that will cost him a transfer position, I believe. He's just going to get going. No, actually, it looks like he will stay in that final transfer spot. Daniel Paz not able to get down there. So Paz and Mac Holmes now finding themselves 5 and 6 and needing to regroup. Looks like Paz may have just made a small mistake, so Mac Holmes is trying to capitalize and sneak into that final transfer spot. This track so far seems to have bidden some riders early on. These runners in this 250 Consolation race having a few moments here and there. Daniel Paz almost had a big one on that uphill step up into the back. And now he's going to get passed down the inside as Mac Holmes goes back through, and he's trying to run down Darius Peterson on that 180 ahead of him. So down towards the finish line, and this is actually going to be on to the final lap of the race. Oh no, I'm sorry, Hubbard already went over the line, so this is on to lap 3 for him. So halfway done. Nathan Guy now moves up to second. McLaughlin finds himself up in third, and there is Peterson in fourth, but Mac Holmes has reeled him in rather quickly. See if he can't find a way through as they switch back here. Oh, and Holmes maybe pushing the envelope a little bit, tucks the front wheel. He does not fall off the bike. But he is going to get the pass done because Peterson was down off the track on the outside. So there goes the position change. Just like that, Peterson coughing up the final transfer spot. Mac Holmes advancing forward into 4th. Now, whether or not he can keep that is going to be a big question mark here with just under 2 laps to go in this consolation race. 4-lap 250 consolation race kicking us off here tonight. Round 7 of the Ride365.com Nationals and MX Simulator. From Washougal in Washington. Track that will host the second round of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship this year. By far one of the earliest times Washougal's been hosted. But in a weird year, sometimes you end up with some weird dates and schedules for these nationals. And that is the case this year as Nathan Guy has taken over the race lead. Taken away from Jacob Hubbard there. So Hubbard has to go back to the drawing board a little bit here. Oh, but just as he tries to remount an attack on Guy, he is going to go down. So Hubbard is going to drop behind McLaughlin. But he is still in that transfer spot. He has gone back to 3rd, and here comes Mac Holmes trying to close that gap down on him. All of these riders will see that white flag next time by, with Nathan Guy now leading the race. Oh, and Holmes just got real sideways on the step up. That is going to be a huge time waster. Is Daniel Paz going to close that gap down as he jumps over top? No, I'm sorry, it's Tiberino on the 77 who has closed it up. That is our whole shot winner in this consolation race. Dominic Tiberino trying to fight his way into the motos here. We really haven't seen much of the number 77 machine this season. I'd have to imagine he might be back for these final 4 rounds or so to try to keep that career number 77 that he has. He needs 100 points between Supercross and Motocross to keep it. I think he did race some Supercross earlier this year, so I'd have to imagine he's got some points on the table. Otherwise, 100 points is a tall task in 4 rounds, especially if you're having to come through the consolation races. The white flag is waving, and Mac Holmes under attack for the final transfer spot in this consolation race. Tiberino peeks inside there. Just taking different lines as the 77, trying not to follow, I should say, Mac Holmes, who is a little bit wayward in some sections, but seems to have that Nova GFX 272 pretty figured out elsewhere. Down by the mechanics area one last time as the mechanics lean over, cheer their guys on, trying to fight their way into the motos, and Mac Holmes trying to hold steady with the heavy pressure right now from Tiberino. It is going to be a drag race. Oh, and Tiberino runs into the back of Holmes. He got a great drive heading up Horsepower Hill, and that might spell the end of his opportunity. He's going to need some help now at this point for Mac Holmes to maybe go down. As Nathan Guy drops into the center of the circuit one final time, he looks to have this thing pretty well sewed up. Jacob Hubbard, who is right in the thick of the top 10 in points, is not having a good start to his night, having to go through the consi, but he looks like he's going to be fine. McLaughlin is in a decent spot as well. Mac Holmes is trying to catch him. Tiberino 6 seconds off of Holmes. Oh, and it's going from bad to worse. He's over the bars, and that is going to be all she wrote for Dominic Tiberino as he disconnects from the server. He now knows it's over. Wow, actually, he might have had a shot, though, had he not gone down, because Hubbard just went down at the bottom of the hill. Kind of crazy to see a career number like Dominic Tiberino end up in the consolation race and not be able to put it through, but that's just the nature of the business here in MX Simulator. Several riders who were once race winners in this series oftentimes cannot compete with this new age pace, and it's not because they're not they weren't good at the game at the time. They were some of the best in the game at their time, but you put this game down for a little bit, even a month or two, and come back, it is an entirely different beast, as it seems like Tiberino is learning here. But Nathan Guy takes the win In the consolation race, he will lead home Noah McLaughlin. And Mac Holmes up into third. Hubbard has got to try to make it through here through the rollers here. Looks like he's going to take his time. Really milk this thing home. Doesn't want to take up too much time. Someone else might be coming. But he is just taking it easy. And Hubbard crosses the line fourth. Does he get the flip? He does. There is Peterson out of this one as well. Max Spokes lays it down. Nick Tomasunis. And Tipperino, who we saw, Nate Tunnel, Chandler Bloxham, Daniel Paz, Trevor Schaefer, Rasmus Eriksson, Brady White, and Gavin Smith all did not make it to the flag in this one either, as looks like Tomasunis will be the last one to finish once he gets over the line, and we wait for some cuts to come in. And, oh, it's so tantalizingly close, and he just disconnects, or either got black flagged, or I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, cuts are in, and the top four, not surprisingly, stay the exact same. So Hubbard going through with Holmes, McLaughlin, and race winner in the consolation race, Nathan Guy. Alrighty, folks. Consolation race done in the 250 class, which means it's time to go racing here. 2 30-minute plus 2-lap motos on this lovely circuit here in Washougal, Washington. Pacific Northwest National, the only one on the West Coast on the northern side. Obviously, we normally have Hangtown, which, technically speaking, is kind of more central in terms of the coast, the West Coast of the United States. It is in Northern California, but California takes up so much of the space on the West Coast that it ends up being kind of central of the West Coast. And then obviously the Southern California National at Paula. So the Pacific Northwest gets their national. It is Washougal. And a lovely track it is. Good to see chat lively here tonight. Hopefully some of you guys came from watching the Loretta Lynn's Amateur National Championship today. Lots of good racing today on Racer TV. If you haven't already checked it out on YouTube or racertv.com, or if you want to check out the broadcast and live timing, you can head over to racerxonline.com and look at the live timing links that we have over there. But hope everybody's doing very well tonight. 96 live of you hanging out in the chat. Wow, so actually I am just receiving some news that I should have looked at before this, but I saw someone mention it in chat, and oh man, this just keeps happening, unfortunately. But yeah, so Colton Mitchell, who was in the title fight in the 450 class, and we'll talk about this when the 450 class comes up, but he has now been indefinitely banned from Race Factor Gaming competition. If you remember last week at Millville, we actually had to red flag the first moto start because Colton Mitchell had loaded in as, I believe, Payson Johnson, or as someone along those lines like that. And eventually it was found out that Russ Chapman raced for Colton Mitchell, so they indefinitely suspended Colton Mitchell. And this has just happened far too often in this game, unfortunately. Russ Chapman himself indefinitely banned from racing because of the same thing. Key sharing is a no-no. You cannot ride for somebody else. You cannot share your key with somebody else to ride for you. And that is unfortunate because Colton Mitchell, obviously one of the key competitors in not only the Ride 365 National Championship, but the Moto Option Supercross Series. And it's looking like this particular move that he decided to do here might leave him on the sidelines for the 2021 Moto Option Supercross Series as well. So that is really just a bummer to see. But you get it. You get where Race Factory Gaming is going to have to come from on that. You always have to kind of batten down the hatches there. Anyway, we'll be sure to mention that again once the 450 racing comes up in a little bit. But just wanted to get that information out here now while you guys were hanging out in chat early on. Thank you, Phobias, by the way, who said that I did great on the Pulp Show last week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Personally speaking, when I go on that show, I try not to take too much of Steve's or really anybody's time to talk about video games because, Pulp MX is meant to be a motocross show talking about more or less the real-life racing. So I try to sneak in some sim discussion every now and then there. But obviously, I just love talking about dirt bikes in general, real racing or sim racing. It's always great to go on the show, and I had a blast this week. Sorry to you guys that wanted to tune in on Monday to watch the Latvian Grand Prix, but like I mentioned moments ago, we will get back to streaming that. I think probably Friday night is my plan right now, but we'll see for sure. Justin 653 hanging out in here as well. And he says, you're a real OG if you know what MXID is. Yeah, if you know what MXID is, well, then I'm sorry, because then you've known about who I am for far too long at that point. I mean, that's just... I should only have like a 5-year window of being cool, I feel like. And I'm really coming to an end of it here. But yeah, MXID, good stuff. Throwback. And Negative MC, $2 donation. Thank you for that so much. He says, I came from watching Drive to Survive to watch this stream. So yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out. The one thing I will say about that is the Drive to Survive series is fantastic. I would highly recommend anybody watch it, but you only get to watch the live broadcast live once. I'm not going to be live broadcasting this live broadcast again at some point, so you can watch the re-air of it at some point, but I'm live right now, so you can literally interact with me in chat while I'm broadcasting. Can't really literally interact with the stars of Drive to Survive at that time. Well, I guess you could like load up Twitter and tweet them or something like that, but yeah. By the way, Luzbeam, I appreciate how big of a fan you are. That's awesome, buddy, but keep it tidy in the chat. We don't need to be spamming. Either way, folks, if you weren't already hyped enough for this series, it's time to get hyped right now as we are set to go racing here. It is the Washougal National 250 Moto number 1 off and running. Who's going to get that 8 Studios Whole Shot Award as it's coming from the inside? I can't quite get to them. Big pile up. So many guys going down. And it's Nathan Prin, the Frenchman, on the 130 Panini Motorsports machine who gets that 8 Studios Whole Shot as he leads up the horsepower hill the first time. 26 of Dickerson settling in right behind him. The 260 of Ethan Gers. He's got a good start as well. One of the QM1 riders is up there that looks to be 65 of Luke Sullivan, I believe, as Prin leads him down the hill the first time. They go around the outside. Oh, and Dickerson, wow, what a save. For the MV Films number 26 machine getting completely sideways there And a nice job to corral back together. Now he's going to swing around the outside to try to get to the inside of Prin. Doesn't quite get it there. But it is Prin still leading the way. Dickerson are trying to go to work and put the pressure on him. Going to run through the field here at the end of the first lap and see where everybody is as they come down the whoops. But this battle out front is brewing already. Dickerson not one to waste much time, and he just absolutely sends it into the sand and somehow landed it. Where did Isaiah Dickerson come from? He just flew right over top of Prin and takes the lead before the first lap is over. What a move by the 26. So it's Dickerson now leading here at Washougal. We are just about one lap in the books. Nathan Prin is trying to fight back there on that number 130. Unbelievable move there. And whoa, Prin scrubbing, almost laying it over too far there. Triple, triple, triple in his way through, and then singling out it is Dickerson leading lap 1. Prin, Gerst, Kerr, Payson Johnson inside of the top 5. Here comes Copeland, Wilcox, Sullivan, Eaglin, Burns, Tomich, Lang, Lautzen, Cooper Hunt, Dylan Love, Hockey, Carter, Spencer Mitchell, Guy, Rogers, Cross, Cale Braden, Helquist. We got Jeremy Smith racing tonight, Mac Holmes, McLaughlin, Braun, Cavacuti, Saves, Donovan, Vanderbeek, Hubbard, Mudge, and Nygren coming through. We also got someone coming off the back. It's Colt Hans. Quick run through the field. Good to see Jeremy Smith out here tonight as he's running the wrong bike, but the OG number 4, Jeremy Smith. Haven't seen him all outdoors, as I think he's himself trying to get ready to race the outdoor series this year for that Babbitt's Kawasaki team in real life. Good to see that he's able to make the Washougal National, as it's Isaiah Dickerson leading us up Horsepower Hill on lap number 2, 2.5 second lead on Nathan Prin. And this looks like a situation where Dickerson is going to try to get the biggest lead he possibly can as fast as he can, because he is throwing caution to the wind. I still can't believe that pass that he made. Nathan Prin settles down in second. Gerst coming down the hill. And Johnson's already moved up into 4th, as it looks like he's got around. I believe the 352 of Alex Kerr is right behind him. Well, Colby Eaglin actually just made the move, so Eaglin's trying to go with him. Got to keep an eye out for where Tyler Lang is, and of course Braden Carter is there mixed up in this title fight. I think I may have seen Lang's number 14 streak across the back there. Oh, Dickerson had gone down in the same spot. He passed for the lead, and he will now fall behind Payson Johnson. That means he's dropped back into 4th. Still ahead of Eaglin, who is right there in 5th, but that now puts Prin back out front. And we've got 3 Panini Motorsports riders inside of the top 5 right now. So Prin takes control of the race lead once again, and he will bring us down to complete lap number 2 here of 250 Moto 1 at Washougal, just whooping through these rollers before the finish line jump. Gerst settles into a good early second place position, and it looks like Dickerson lost another spot to Eaglin, so it's Panini Motorsports 1-3-4 right now. Gerst on this AO Power Sports number 260 machine, the only guy separating this well, really, it's a Panini sandwich at this point, I suppose. Pun intended. As Johnson trying to find a way through. Peeks down the inside. Oh, and Prin had gone off the track just ahead of this. So suddenly this is tightening up at the front, and Gerst just concedes the position. Johnson moving up into 2nd. Eaglin's still right there. Dickerson trying to keep the pressure on. Can't imagine Johnson's going to want to waste too much time sitting behind his teammate Prin here. And Johnson with only that 1-point lead after just really a couple weeks that just didn't quite go the way I think he had hoped it would. Lang winning at Thunder Valley, and then just scoring some good solid points last week as well. So Johnson's got to try to find a way to stifle some of that momentum that Lang has really clawed back here in the latter half of the season thus far. Johnson hard on the brakes, get to the inside. And it's a Panini Motorsports 1-2-3 because Colby Eagland has now moved up into that 3 spot. Dickerson also got around Gerst. James Wilcox coming through. Oh, big one. Alex Kerr going down. Frank Jackson goes by. I think that might have been Sullivan as well. And a Husky rider. I wasn't sure who that is. That's Cooper Hunt. Dylan Love, Braden Carter coming through. Tanner Rogers. There is Lang behind Rogers, just getting up ahead of Kerr. And another rider down. That was Frank Jackson on that 67 Veracco machine of his. It's up still ahead of Kerr. So we've had a couple moments already, these guys trying to get it all sorted out, but up front it's still Nathan Prynn on the 130 machine, and you can see all 3 of those Panini Motorsports riders going through the rollers. Dickerson trying to keep tabs on them, not let it turn into a practice session for these guys out front. Might remember Prynn picking up his first career moto win back at Thunder Valley 2 weeks ago. Just couldn't quite put 2 motos together that day and pick up the overall win, so still looking for his first overall win of his career in Race Factor Gaming North America competition. Johnson keeping him close, and Colby Eagland seems like he is the one who is really on the move for these 3 teammates, because Johnson had a buffer. He had Gerst between himself and Eagland. Eagland disposed of Gerst there on the 260s. Looks like Dickerson may have gone down on the entry to Horsepower Hill, and I like Eagland's line right there, kind of hugging the Iturbi stakes and really keeping that bike settled on the ground up Horsepower Hill, getting a lot of good drive. I think he would do himself a favor not showing off that line too early, and I think I just saw Payson Johnson just throw absolute filth coming down the hill right there. That was absolutely insane. So with Dickerson's fall, it really opens up this gap now for all 3 of these Panini Motorsports guys as we'll go on board with the Eagland and see what it's like. This is, like I said, just another day at the practice track for these guys. 8 minutes and 40 seconds into 250 Moto number 1. And this might be a situation where the 3 of them kind of agree to not push each other too hard. Maybe just get into a bit of a freight train and pull out a nice lead. Really nice for them to go 1, 2, 3 here, obviously. Remember, Eagland actually still kind of in a fighting chance for this title fight as well. 33 points back of his teammate Payson Johnson. So not to say that he's thinking about that. He might be thinking of the team aspect of it, obviously, but at least for his own sake, he's got to try to clip some points away from the 351. Johnson putting a lot of pressure right now on Prynn, though. He is caught up to the Frenchman with relative ease at the end of this lap here. And as we approach the 10-minute mark, so about a third of the way through this first moto, this could be Johnson's opportunity to make a quick pass and set sail out front and not have to worry about his nearest championship rivals like Tyler Lang or Braden Carter. So up Horsepower Hill they come once again, and it has been all Panini Motorsports out front. They are the ones providing the horsepower in the name of Horsepower Hill so far. Back up the hill they go, and Johnson still just has not been able to find a way through on his teammate. See if we can't find something else to look at. Looks like Lang and Carter are matched up here going up Horsepower Hill. They're just ahead of Zoa Cross. Tanner Rogers, Dylan Copeland, Jacob Hellquist. There's a good battle here going. So Copeland, Hellquist, Smith, Burns, and Hunt in a freight train with Spencer and Kerr off the tail of it. And another 4 or 5 guys coming in behind them. So this could easily really turn into a about 10-way battle for this position, which is currently being held by Gurst now. Oh, Gurst down! And Cross was down at the bottom of the hill as well. He gets up and he's still right in the midst of this battle. Oh, and Smith slides out. And that's unfortunate for him because he just lost a lot of positions. But how about this freight train right here? This is insane. Tyron Tomic going to make a move on Alex Kerr down the inside, launching so deep into the sand. I am always mesmerized by how far some of these guys can send it and land no problem. Cooper Hunt trying to hold off some attack here from Trevor Spencer. Trevor Burns off the track and then back on, just ahead of this little grouping. And it looks like something may have happened out front. What changed? Johnson has gone to the lead. Eaglin is now second, Dickerson third, and Prynn dropped back to fourth. So Nathan Prynn did cough up the lead, which means Payson Johnson has taken it over at the front. And as we have indicated many times this year, this is not good news for the rest of the competition because Johnson has held that red plate from the beginning, and usually his bad motos come when he gets bad starts. This time, got a good start, already leading before the halfway point of this race. Looks like maybe his only competition might be his teammate Eaglin, and we'll have to see about that. Dickerson trying his best to keep it close. Nathan Prynn hasn't lost too much time, and there comes Sullivan, Lang, and Carter battling it out for 6th. 7th is Rogers, and then we'll go back to this crazy battle right now. It's Copeland with Cross alongside of him. 122 of Burns landing in the background, and around the outside, Zoa Cross goes on Copeland. Now Burns going to try to size up something on the 35. Tucks inside, headed up Horsepower Hill, and just blocks the line off. Very nicely done by Burns. Copeland has no real response to that one, and instead Trevor Burns also moves around the 35 of Copeland. Here comes Tyron Tomic trying to close up with Cooper Hunt and Alex Kerr. Jacob Hellquist and Jeremy Smith coming along with James Wilcox and Christian Lautzen. Oh, and Lautzen goes down. He is going to get passed by, wow, a lot of guys going by. 5 riders in a group right there, and he will get going just as the next little group comes. But we got Frank Jackson mixed together with Trevor Spencer, Roy Mitchell, Michael Mudge, and Maxime Vanderbeek. Vanderbeek, the rider out of Belgium on the Elevated Motorsports number 151, finds his way up inside of the top 15 for the first time. This group here, pretty much 8 on back. Crazy right now. Look at Tomic just went down here. And, oh, James Wilcox also went down. But I was about to say Tomic, who just went down, I think he just lost 7 spots on one crash. And you only crashed for about 10 seconds. So that is crazy to see how many people are still close together. Especially because we're already just about to the halfway point of this moto. We're coming up on 15 minutes into this one already. Jeremy Smith trying to look for an opportunity through on Cooper Hunt, and Smith, just like I had mentioned with Tipperino showing up and trying to race this 250 class, I believe Smith is here because he needs 100 points to keep his career number 4 that he earned many moons ago when he won the 2013 Race Tractor Gaming 250 National Championship. We got Tyron Tomic going down in the background. Tanner Rogers got sideways before the finish. So Smith coming in here. He's trying to keep the number 4. He's riding the wrong bike. As seems to be usual sometimes. Oh, and he gets together there with Rogers, who is coming down his inside, and Smith, who plays in first person, unbeknownst to him, did not see Rogers coming down on the inside there at all. So Hellquist and Kerr up here behind Copeland. Burns and Cross still behind Carter and Lang. Luke Sullivan kind of in a race of his own right now in P5 as Nathan Prynn goes up on the embankment and hits some tough blocks. Payson Johnson has given up the lead, so Colby Eaglin now leads here in Washougal, 16 minutes into this thing. So we're over the halfway point, and suddenly things have flipped upside down once again. This would be really big if Eaglin can come through and win this moto and claw this thing back a little bit. As it stands right now, he gained 5 points in the championship to Payson Johnson, and with the motos winding down, only 8 motos to go after this one. Or I'm sorry, 9 motos, I should say. Eaglin's really got to make some magic happen quickly. Dickerson, after that early fall, still doing a nice job to regroup and hold on to second here. Johnson, oh, Prynn down again. Nathan Prynn hits the deck, and that is going to be Sullivan's opportunity to move up to 4th. Not such a lonely race anymore for the QM1 number 65. Instead, finds himself right in the midst of a battle as he gets up ahead of the speedy number 130 of Nathan Prynn. Prynn even quadding out of the rollers there, 3-3-3-4. So my math really served me well earlier when I called it a 12 pack. It's 13 jumps actually. And Lang trying to keep tabs on everybody ahead of him. So quick lap time check, and then we'll do a race tech run through the field. It is a 2:31.2 for Lang. That's his best lap. Not comparable to the 28.7 of Prynn or Sullivan, who just laid down a 2:30.1 ahead of him. Payson Johnson's running faster times despite making some mistakes. He did a 2:27.6 and then followed it up with a 2:29.7 last time by. 2:30 dead for Dickerson, but his 2:27.8 shows his true potential. And Eaglin with a 2:28.1 out front. So Lang, even though he just ran his personal best, is actually not catching any of the guys ahead of him really, because they are outpacing him at the moment, and that could hurt Lang's chances. So, while we have him out front, let's do a race tech run through the field. Racetech.com, race tech suspension and engines. Good spot to go get your suspension dialed for sure, but in case you have something motor work done or that you would like to get done, Racetech also a good place to go through. Based out of Corona, California, right in the heart of motocross soul. They will get your engine or suspension turned around quickly and get you back out on the track and feeling good as new. And they're bringing you this top 20 rundown as Colby Eaglin on the Panini Motorsports number 24 continues to lead the race, trying to pick up yet another race victory and close that points gap down to his teammate who runs second, running those red backgrounds on the 351 Panini ride. It is Payson Johnson. P3 right now belongs to Isaiah Dickerson on the MV Films number 26. Had an up and down moto so far, but still holds on to a 3rd position. P4 is now Luke Sullivan on the QM1 number 65 after he got around Nathan Prynn, who fell just a lap ago on the number 130 Panini Motorsports ride, and suddenly he's about to be under attack by second in the championship standings. Tyler Lang, MV Films number 14, is trying to get as many points clawed away here down the late stages of this one to get it away from Payson Johnson, as Lang now moves up into 5th, gets around Prynn, who is really finding a tough time around the racetrack here in the second half of this moto. P7, Zoa Cross, MXLocker.com, number 49. Holding strong back here. And P8 for Trevor Burns on the number 122. I don't know if that's a real team or not, but it sounds fun. Braden Carter holds down 9th on the QM1 number 32, and 10th is Alex Kerr on the Takatoji number 352. 11th goes to Tyron Tomich on the Connect Visual number 311. 12th for Cooper Hunt. Privateer lifing it out here on the 304. He's going to go down in the rollers and take Tanner Rogers with them momentarily, and suddenly this has got all flipped around. So let's reset things here for just a second. It was Tomich 11th. Jeremy Smith now runs in 12th on the SwapMotoLive.com number 4. He's got number 5 on his bike, but I think that's just because he plays in first person, loaded the wrong skins. So 13th now goes to Cooper Hunt. Like I said, Privateer lifing it. 14th for Dylan Copeland on the Tagger Designs number 35. 15th for Jacob Hellquist on the 133 Burb Moto machine, I believe the rider out of Sweden. 16th for the rider out of Belgium on the Elevated Motorsports number 151. It is Maxime Vanderbeek. 17th, Roy Mitchell, JDR number 25. Up and down year so far for Big Asian guy, but he's holding down 17th ahead of Frank Jackson on the Veraco number 67. Tanner Rogers comes through 19th on the Mad Cape number 499. And the final points paying position right now goes to Aaron Plessinger's brother, Dalton, on the Panini Motorsports number 61. That has been a Racetech run through the field, brought to you by Racetech.com. So back out front, 21 and a half minutes down or so. So this race already coming to a quickly close here, and Colby Eaglin is trying to hold on for another race victory. Oh, Johnson just getting up from a fall. He must have just gone down because he was just trying to stand it up on that wall there, and Dickerson closed up a lot of time on him. Sullivan, like I said, it was a lonely fifth place for Sullivan, and then got around the downed rider there of Nathan Prynne, and now it's a lonely fourth place for him. So he's going to try to reel in the top three, maybe make a dent in this one late. But it's a good ride for the 65 on the QM1 machine because he has not had quite the most successful season, I think he would say, on his own. Just hasn't really gotten the starts that he needs to run up front, and this time he did finally get a start, and it seems like his pace is just about where he wants it to battle with these front guys. Tyler Lang, slowly but surely finding his way into a good position. He does this all the time in the RFGP Championship. Even if he doesn't get a good start, he is just a master of finding his way inside of the top 5 or the top 3. Sullivan just went down at the bottom of the hill, and Lang going to go back by into 4th. He's 12 seconds down off of 3rd, so he's going to need a little bit of help to get up there, but not impossible for the 14 machine. Behind him is Nathan Prynne. Prynne is trying to go with him. Oh, Prynne. Oh, Prynne, that's not good. Clipped the top of the jump with his front wheel like he didn't really want it to. It kicked him high, so there goes Sullivan on by. Carter looking at points disappear as all of his nearest title rivals are ahead of him, sitting 3rd in the championship, but behind him 4th, Colby Eaglin. He is leading the race. Payson Johnson, who has the points lead, is ahead of him as well, and Tyler Lang, who's 2nd, is also ahead of him. So really not quite the moto he was hoping for here, Braden Carter. Find somebody to go on board with. Let's watch Isaiah Dickerson, because he looked really exciting early on, and I think he's trying to close this gap down to Payson Johnson ahead of him. So let's see if we have that gap come down or not. Actually, it looks like it's already expanding, and he's made some mistakes here, so maybe Dickerson not feeling as comfortable on the track as it's starting to roughen up a little bit late here. What I like about this track too, and I'm not sure if this was purposely done by the Racetrack to Gaming crew or not, but it does seem like some of the jumps down in the bottom section of the track there have ruts in the faces of the jumps, which you don't really get to see very often in this game. Just the reality of the way the road system works, you don't get those ruts that kind of carve out into a jump. You can get some good ruts in the corners, but JLB has said many times why it's harder to get those ruts kind of placed well into a jump. But you'll notice on some of these jumps, particularly after the finish line and that kind of flat section of the course down by the starting line, there's a couple jumps with some just straight up ruts in the middle of it, so you can't scrub it. You have to hit it straight as an arrow, or else you'll get kicked sideways. And I kind of like that, because instead of these guys always having a flat surface to take off and scrubbing it very hard, it provides them a unique opportunity to have to almost challenge themselves to keep it straight on a jump. I even remember back in my heyday, it was when you were really feeling the flow on a track, it was like second nature to kind of throw little flick whips or scrubs or something off of every jump you hit, just because you felt like it was a good way to keep yourself planted on the ground as much as possible. But in this situation, obviously the idea is to not allow you to do that on every jump, and I like that. I just like the Race Factory crew trying to switch it up a little bit. And we're on board with Dickerson pretty much this whole lap so far, and you can see that that gap has slowly extended. Pace and Johnson really putting it to him, pretty much 3 seconds on him since we have gone on board with Dickerson. This actually doesn't seem like a terrible lap. It was a little bit maligned at the beginning there as he quads in, quads again, quads one more time and singles out and runs a 232 flat. So that little quad there at the end closed him back down, but it is a 6-second lead out to Pace and Johnson ahead of him. And Lang has crawled his way up into fourth and has plenty of time behind him. Sullivan is nowhere there. Nathan Prynne getting a little sideways. Trevor Burns has gotten back ahead of Braden Carter. So Carter has to answer to this challenge here, and it has just not gone his way down the stretch for the number 32 machine. Really, in both the Nationals and the GP scene, it seemed like Carter hit a stride from rounds like 2 through 4, or maybe just in general the first half of the season. And really in both championships, it has gone awry for him in the second half. And I'm not going to swear to this, but it almost does seem like he maybe isn't putting as much time as he was into the game, or maybe he's putting in too much time. You know, sometimes these guys, they're trying to find that ideal setup, run those good clean laps consistently, and then it just starts getting into your head that you change your setup and you're doing something different, and you're trying to obviously go a little bit faster to maybe make your speed better, but it compromises your racecraft a little bit. You start thinking about stuff like that a little bit too much. You go down a little bit more often. So interesting to see that Carter has kind of faltered here in the second half. Not to say that he's not doing a great job. I mean, he's still inside of the top 10, but I think he thought of himself as someone who could challenge down the stretch for this championship, especially being in the position to do so by about the halfway point of this season, and it has just not worked out that way whatsoever. As Prynne down the inside of Sullivan moves back up into fifth. So Sullivan allowing the number 130 rider to go on through. And back to Colby Eagland out front. And I think, barring a disaster in the rollers here, we're going to look at 3 to go this time by. He is coming through with 30 seconds still on the clock as he comes down and checks in back out front. 22 seconds remained on the clock. So, yeah, definitely 3 laps to go because he's not going to get back to the flag one more time, which means the 2-lap board will come out next time by after time expires here in about 10 seconds. 3 to go here in Washougal, and Eagland's trying to hold on. Johnson keeping it close. Dickerson and Lang making it MV Films 3-4, but they're still panini sandwiched, if you will, by the front 2 and P5 of Nathan Prynne. Sullivan is not letting Prynne go here, though. Prynne worked his way up to Sullivan and made that pass, but it seems like the 65 machine is none too happy about that and would like to go back after him and make the pass, perhaps. That's not going to do it, though, as he jumps off the track and then has to kind of evade around some tough blocks to get back on, so that cost him quite a bit of time. Trevor Burns, Braden Carter, Zoa Cross. Jeremy Smith inside the top 10. He is. Wow, P10. Jeremy Smith, good return to the racing action here tonight for JS4. Jacob Hellquist. Tanner Rogers is 12th. Alex Kerr, 13th. He's being hounded, though, by Vanderbeek. Maxime Vanderbeek on the 151 elevated motorsports ride. Going to get around Alex Kerr, actually, who just went down. So position change there. Kerr is trying to fight back down the inside, and it's really who gets this rhythm section better. They both are kind of flubbing it, but Kerr actually got going towards the end and might have a move back down the inside. Vanderbeek charges around the outside, so Kerr is going to go to the outside in this corner. It becomes the inside of the next corner, and a nice move by Alex Kerr to just get around the outside of Vanderbeek and make that happen quickly as the 151 machine fishtails. Regrouping. Oh, here's a battle for second. Dickerson and Payson Johnson absolutely going after it, and Dickerson again launching deep into the sand. Amazing to me that he knows where he's going to land every time, because it looks like it's a total guess. But Johnson has dropped back to third, and Tyler Lang will be happy to see that, as he was only 1 point down in this championship entering, and right now he's only losing 2 points to Payson Johnson, who just sent it down that hill. But Johnson now dropping back to third, and Lang running fourth. That's only a 2 point split as opposed to the 4 point split it was when Johnson was running second. So curious to see if the 351 can regroup a little bit here. Perhaps run down Dickerson again for second. He's got 15 seconds to Lang behind him, so pretty unlikely Lang closes that gap down. But Eaglin out front, he's got the 2-lap board already out for him. 2 to go here at Washougal, and Payson Johnson's got to be the guy to watch here, because he's got to try to get back to Dickerson and claw some good points away for himself. Hasn't been as easy as it seemed in the first 3 or 4 rounds for Johnson, who seemingly could run through the field at will from any start and end up inside the top 3 or even win. And there he goes. He is down. He pushing the envelope, goes off the outside of the track, clips his head on a hay bale, and off the bike he goes. And so suddenly Tyler Lang not really out of the question. He could still maybe get to Payson Johnson. Maybe another crash would help him do that, but a 9-second disadvantage to his combatant in the championship standings. And this has actually been kind of the same scenario we've seen the last couple weeks here at Thunder Valley and Millville, where Lang coming up from worse starts than Payson Johnson, which has been kind of weird to watch. But the truth of the matter is that Payson Johnson's just doing better overall motos than Payson Johnson. I'm sorry, Lang is doing better overall motos than Payson Johnson. And yeah, he just catches him late and gets around him and gets more points. Even at Thunder Valley, we saw Johnson had the upper hand really the entire race, and started losing some positions late there in the second moto, and in the end, Lang and Braden Carter gained a lot of points on him that day. So curious if that's going to be something to keep an eye on with Payson Johnson as we get into the second half of this season. Does not want to become a repeating trend, as Eaglin suddenly finds himself in the thick of some lap traffic here. And he's got to be careful, because he's not far enough away to fall and maintain the race lead at this point, with Dickerson continuing to charge up from behind him. So James Wilcox right there behind him. Eaglin's hoping he doesn't get hit by him. He's right behind one of the elevated motorsports riders ahead of him. I can't see. That is Cale Braden on the 233, and one of the Suzuki riders. That is the 733 also coming through. But yeah, Eaglin just in the thick of lap traffic right now. Nine-second advantage on Dickerson. Pretty much 10 seconds between each of the top 4, and then a 20-second gap back to Sullivan in 5th. Oh man, this is absolutely brutal for Eaglin though, who's trying to get around these lapped riders, who in their own right are deep in a battle, and Braden goes up and over top. So the 733, noticing that happen, immediately moved out of the way. I think those guys are battling at the tail end of points, perhaps. That might be why it's going crazy. They're not actually in points. But Christian Lautzen on that 733, who just got lapped, he's 13 seconds behind Kyler Hockey. So yeah, he's going to need a miracle to get some points this moto. But now everybody not in the points has been lapped. And Dickerson still trying to close this thing down late. Maybe make it interesting. really no battling to speak of in the points though right now. Not many people are close. Smith and Cross are fairly close together. Eaglin getting a little sideways out of the switchbacks, but coming down the hill. Oh man, getting a little froggy and sideways there. This will be a big one though for Eaglin, especially now seeing as how Johnson's dropped back to third. That's 5 points gained in this championship hunt, like I said. And with 9 motos to go, clawing it down to 28 between himself and championship leading teammate Payson Johnson. Have to imagine Eaglin is starting to think of himself as someone who can contend for this title down the stretch. At the very least, he's doing his very best to sneak up and get a couple more positions late in this championship hunt. But if he is going to fight for the title, this is certainly the way to do it. Start behind your teammates, straight up pass him, and go on your way as Colby Eaglin comes through to take moto number 1 at Washougal. In the end, it was Dickerson who will cross the line second. He got it down to 9.7 seconds. Payson Johnson, barring a crash here in the rollers, although got a little sideways there, and then a flipping Roy Mitchell double backflips and rides out of it. Oh, Johnson almost looped out before the line, and Lang was coming. So Lang ends up 6 seconds back. Had Johnson fallen there, Lang would have certainly picked up third, and boy, oh boy, that would have changed up some point standings. But right now it is a provisional 3-point lead in the championship for Payson Johnson over Tyler Lang, and I think this might actually move Eaglin up into third in the championship as Sullivan crosses the line 5th. Prin will end up 6th. Trevor Burns, who's coming down here, will finish up this one in 7th, but it was only 13 points behind Braden Carter that Colby Eaglin was, and Carter, who crosses the line 8, actually picks up 13 points exactly, so he will hold a 1-point advantage over Colby Eaglin in the championship hunt. They are now 27 and 28 points down, respectively. Tanner Rogers will come through and bring this one home. P9, right out of Canada on the 499. Mad Cape Machine doing a good ride here at Washougal in moto number 1. And Zoa Cross will round out our top 10 on the MXSoccer.com number 49. Smith drops back to 11th. Vanderbeek's trying to hold off Frank Jackson, who goes down. Oh, but Tyron Tomic was also down. Jacob Hellquist is seeing this, and Benjamin Saves also trying to see if he can make some passes here as Alex Kerr gets into the SpongeBob and goes down. See this drag race here. Tomic, Hellquist, and Saves coming to the flag. It looks like it'll stay that way between them as Tomic comes across 14th, 15th for Hellquist, and 16th there for Saves. Kerr coming up here in 17th. 18th for Copeland, 19th Cooper Hunt, and 20th, last man coming through will be Kyler Hockey. He will give us cuts, so we'll take a look at what cuts look like and see if anybody gains some positions over the line. Wow, no cuts. Well, I mean, there were cuts, but it didn't change anything, which is pretty rare. I will be right back, actually. But if you guys have any questions in chat, now would be a good time to do it. We're going to have a 5-minute break, and I'm going to leave for about 30 seconds here, but then come right back. And, yeah, if you guys have a question, anything you guys want to talk about, bring it up in chat, and I'd be happy to answer those questions right now. And I'll see you guys in about 30 seconds. All right, I'm back. Apologies for leaving you fine people. Let's see. Any questions? Yeah, all right, some questions. Does anybody know how to entertain a race server and spectate? Do you know how to enter a race server and spectate? Yeah, so if you enter a server, like the one I'm in here, really easy. Like let's say I'm on myself. I'll go back to myself because you end up as yourself in a server, whatever you end up in. So for example, this server that we're in, official.mxslobby.com 19801. But there are several servers like Elsinore servers or Flowtech servers you can enter. Once you're in them, instead of being stuck on yourself, all you need to do is go in chat and type /toggle spy. So now it turns my spy mode off. That means I cannot switch between people. Well, normally it doesn't let me do it, but it is for some reason now. But anyway, you just need to turn it on, and then you can switch between people. I don't know why it was still allowing me to, but anyway. Let's see. Negative MC wants to know, Kellen, do you ever plan on racing in sim again? Oh my gosh. I do want to. I think I still am okay enough to race amateurs. Unfortunately, amateurs are like, they're always on the weekends. I can't race during the day on a weekday. I work, so I can't take time and do EU or anything like that. So I'd race amateurs, but amateurs are usually on the weekends. And even if they were on the weeknights, like having a newborn in the house and obviously working ridiculously long hours sometimes to do stuff with Race Rex and stuff like that, I really just don't have time to race in sim. But every now and then I think I'm going to try to put together a couple SYS ride days soon because people really like that. And when I do that again, I may end up trying to do some racing in that. But obviously that's not really, you know, the RF racing or anything like that. But still, I'd like to do something like that. All right. Brendan Kennedy wants to know, has the track broken down as bad as he thought it would? No, actually, I don't think it's as bad as I thought it would. It seems pretty smooth in the braking bumps. The ruts are forming quite nicely. I like the ruts on the jump faces, as I mentioned during the moto, but I still think that the track itself is still pretty high speed and smooth. These guys seem like, for the most part, they're handling it all pretty well. So, yeah. What's up, JJ Shooter 44 Gaming? Danger Zone 12 wants to know, how different is Alexis Leclerc from back in the day to now? I mean, I think Leclerc is still the same like person. I think I don't want to like make him mad, and I say this with like the utmost respect, but I think Leclerc humbled up a little bit, which is weird to say because I think some people think he's still like really cocky. But dude, he was pretty damn cocky when we first started playing with him. Now he seems like he's pretty like, yeah, you know, good racing, blah, blah, blah. Seems to chat with a lot of people, which I like to see because before he was always just off in his own little world. So I say that as like a respect thing because I think it's great that he's like become a good member of the community that interacts with people and stuff like that because he really didn't do that much before. But yeah, if you want to know about how his racecraft has changed, you could just go watch my track walk video from Monday where I talked about it, and saw a lot of people went to that video that I linked of Leclerc and me getting together. And Leclerc said the beef is behind us, so I'm happy with that because I have no problems with Leclerc anymore. I did at one point, but I don't anymore. I think he's a great racer and ambassador for this game. But obviously we used to race each other quite a bit. Will I ever do another top MX Sim races of all time? Personally, that's the first video I ever seen from your channel years ago. I want to do it. I really do. It's so time consuming. Like really, 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 really time consuming. So I just need to find the time, which I don't have very much of anymore. So anyway. You guys want to see a face cam? Okay. Face cam. Voila, we have an intermission, so why not go on face cam for a minute? I don't really do this during the intermissions anymore, but why not? Because somebody asked for it. Who asked for it? Ryan Clem. Congratulations, face cam. I feel like it's really weird. There's this weird, like, I don't know, small, I guess, group of people that comment on my videos all the time, and they're like, when are you going to do a face cam? You never do face cam. And it's like, I feel like I have my face in quite a few videos. Like, I do vlogs and, like, SYS live videos, and then every single one of these broadcasts, I start and end it with my face on stream. That's why I have this gorgeous light set up and all these Racer X posters behind me. Yeah, I try to show my face as often as I can because I want to feel like I'm connected, you know, with you guys. You know what I look like. If you run into me at a racetrack in real life, you know what I look like, and you could come up to me and talk to me. Seriously, I love that. So anytime you do see me, feel free to do that. But I try to do the face cam as much as I can. I just don't try to like shove it down your throats and always do it all the time. Yeah. So anyway, back in game. Who do I think will win the 2020 450 MX title? Eli Tomac. Kellen, do you think you and Awood could ever hop in a Discord call and co-commentate? The reason I don't like doing that anymore is, well, for one, Awood doesn't have that good of a mic, but two, it's just so much better to do these broadcasts with someone sitting next to me in studio because we're watching the same thing. The thing I always hated about doing broadcasts with people year after year is we'd be talking about two different things all the time because he's watching something else and I'm watching something else. When he's sitting right next to me, we're looking at the same screen. So great to call a race like that, and I hate to go backwards because we progressed forward. He was always in the studio. We were always calling the races together. I don't want to go backwards anymore, so that's why I just do it by myself for right now. Once this is all cleaned out, he'll be back in studio all the time again. All right, 250 moto number 2 is already on the gate and ready to go. JLV's getting off the track. Oh, big hop of the gate. Oh, it looks like we got a red flag. Or wait, what? Why? That was weird. I did see both Kiefer's podium at Loretta's, although Aiden, he raced his 125C moto today. And, man, poor Katie just can't get good starts. Did not get a good start in 125C Moto 2 and had to come from pretty far back, and I think he got 7th again. So hopefully we're seeing some more good stuff from him in 250C Limited 12 to 17. All right, JLV moonwalking off the track. 250 Moto number 2 off and running here at Washougal. Out of the middle, Gerst gets to the corner first, and it's a big pileup. Lots of riders going wide, and Studio 8 Hole Shot Award. Boy, did he need this one. Braden Carter picks it up in Moto 2 at Washougal. He immediately gives it up to NorCal's finest, I should say, Dylan Copeland. Taggart Designs number 35 takes over the race lead over the top of Horsepower Hill the first time. Benjamin Saves is up there in the 165. The 65 of Luke Sullivan's there as Carter retakes the lead. And Copeland makes a little mistake, so several riders funnel around the outside of him. I think that might be James Wilcox on the 172s up there. I see Helquist, and Carter was off the track, so that puts Sullivan to the front. Luke Sullivan, Benjamin Saves, and James Wilcox now 1, 2, 3. What a weird top 3 as Wilcox goes down. Oh, what a terrible time to go down. He had such a good start, and people just funneling by. We do see that way back here is Moto 1 winner Colby Eagland, and Payson Johnson also pretty far back here. And he just went down. He got into the back of Hubbard. Overzealous for Johnson, and this could spell some trouble. Remember what happened at Southwick earlier this year when he got a bad start. Hate to keep bringing it up, but man, Payson Johnson running into some misfortune here down in the field. As we go back out front, and Sullivan leads it down the hill. Going to be loving this one is Luke Sullivan, who ended up inside of the top 5 in that first moto and looking to try to establish an early race lead. Even see Nathan Print and Payson Johnson both outside of the top 30 right now as they come down to complete lap number 1, and this will give us a really good idea what's going on here as Sullivan comes across. Benjamin saves is right there. Copeland on the 35. Lang and Dickerson going side by side. There's Burns. There's Cross. I see Carter on the 32. Tanner Rogers. Colby Eaglin over the line. Alex Kerr. I see James Wilcox. Man, look at how far back already Payson Johnson is as he's just now entering the rollers at the very back here with some of the other guys coming through. Nathan Print alongside of him as they go over the line. Right there was Payson Johnson. Incredible gap already as they cross the line at the end of the first lap. And Sullivan trying to extend the race lead 2.5 minutes into this thing. Wouldn't this be something, though? If Luke Sullivan can hold it on and pick up his first career race victory, he's in a pretty good spot here because, well, Lang is up here. And I know Carter is back in about 7th, but other than that, some of the heavy hitters that we normally see right at the front didn't get the same starts we normally expect out of them. Carter got the whole shot and immediately fell. This puts Lang in a really good position, though. So Lang, who finished up 4th in the first moto, he is, provisionally speaking, 3 points down in this championship behind Payson Johnson. And this may very well be the first time since the first moto of the year at WW Ranch that Payson Johnson won that he will not have the points lead after this moto. Long way still to go, but as it stands, Lang crossed the line at the end of the first lap in 3rd. Payson Johnson crossed the line at the end of the first lap in 34th. So Lang in a huge advantage here early in this one as he's trying to find his way around Copeland. He's got Trevor Burns on the 122 closing up a little bit. They all launch into the sand. Burns, a nice little whip as well. It's actually putting a lot of pressure on these two already. So Lang might try to make a quick pass here on Copeland, try not to waste too much time. They all funnel that outside line. And then drop back down the hill. Ooh, Lang and Copeland both kind of hooked that rut a little bit long. This is actually turning into quite the freight train here. Sullivan pulling away out front, but this battle pretty intense as Zoa Cross is closing up on the 49, MXLocker.com Yamaha back there. And Tanner Rogers also peeking in on the Mad Cape 499. So going through the rollers and Cross getting all kinds out of shape. Still almost completed the pass on Burns as Lang's trying to go around the outside of Copeland. Sullivan out to a 7.5 second lead already. Definitely feeling the flow today. Lang trying to cut back up underneath of Copeland. Tries it again, sneaks down the far inside, trying to get that pass to stick, and will get it. Lang up into 2nd. So Tyler Lang moves around Dylan Copeland, tries to get away from this group because this is, as mentioned, quite the freight train of riders that are just duking it out with each other. I think Burns is going to try to make the move on Copeland here pretty fast as well because he's tired of dealing with the chaos behind him. As they're going to come up Horsepower Hill. Look at this absolute freight train. So it's going to be Lang leading them up. And then Copeland, Burns, Cross, Rogers, Carter, Eagland in a freight train right here. Let's go on the back of it with Eagland here. He's P8 right now. Look at, so you can see the gap on the upper right-hand corner of your screen as the race leader, Luke Sullivan, is the green dot. Then this absolute cluster, 2 through 8, coming down the hill right behind him, about 7 or 8 seconds back. And that's going to be a spot given to Eagland. Somebody went off the outside of the berm there. They're going to get back on right behind him. It was Zoa Cross. But Eagland picks up another spot now, trying to find his way down on the inside of Tanner Rogers into the switchback. Rogers cuts underneath, makes a little mistake. Eagland trying to fight back around the outside. But Rogers holds that position. And this is what it's like to be in this intense battle early. Oh, Eagland launching deep into the sand, gets nose heavy. Can he get this pass done on Rogers? They're going to go bar to bar up the step up. We got 3 riders in the air at the same time ahead of him, and Eagland scrubs it nicely. He's going to control that line to the outside, and that will be pass completed up to 6th. Eagland trying to close up now believe that's Carter just up the road on the 32. England triples in, triples again, and look at Carter splitting. The difference goes between Burns and Copeland. 3 wide over the finish line, jump just ahead, and then Burns slides out, almost takes Carter down, and England has to stand it up to not go down himself. Around the outside, I think someone was trying to get up there on England, but doesn't make it happen. Intense action to watch on board, and it was Rogers who almost got to the outside there. Copeland has an earful of Braden Carter right there on the 32 now, right behind him. Carter tries to cut up underneath, and just like Lang the lap before, Carter makes that pass stick on Copeland. England around the outside, going to try to get 2 for 1. Hits the higher part of the wall, but gets the pass done on Copeland. And now, Carter off the outside of the berm there, so England up to 4th. You're watching all of this happen on board, and now he's going to try to go after Trevor Burns up ahead of him. Drag race up to the top of the hill. England absolutely flying right now, trying to put himself into position to win this overall today. And as it stands right now, is he going to gain some serious points on Payson Johnson? We got to go find where the 351 machine is. Had a report in chat that he was dead last. Here he is right now, running in 37th spot. Look at the riders still ahead of him. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a hard-fought battle. Payson Johnson trying to claw his way back into the points. And coming up on 9 minutes into this moto, he's got 21 minutes to work with, so he has time, and he clearly still has a train of riders ahead of him. But man, this is going to be tough work ahead for our points leader. Very so far reminiscent of that Southwick Moto 2 early in the season. We peek back out front, and we find ourselves Mr. Luke Sullivan continuing to lead the race. Just completely unbeknownst to what's going on behind him. Just trying to put the laps down and extend this race lead, which is exactly what you have to do if you're trying to pick up your first career win. And boy, this would be a big one for Luke Sullivan if he can make it happen. Lang still in second as Sullivan checks it out front. Lap time check real quick. 2:29.6. He did a 29 flat as well. Can Lang up his pace here on this lap? He does a 30.5, but Sullivan is extending that lead as the laps go on. And this is going to be huge if Sullivan can pull this off. Still early runnings, a lot of time left on the clock. But I don't know, man. The way Sullivan was riding in that first moto, obviously he ended up getting 5th, but he was battling, almost got up onto the podium at one point and just was quietly putting together a super solid ride. So solid you just didn't really even notice him that much. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here, is if he can just do that again. Instead, though, he's out front. So he just quietly puts together a solid moto out front. He may very well bring home this win. England has got Burns, and he's up to 3rd. Which means, as it stands, he is your overall winner with a 1-3 on the day. Have to imagine he wants a little bit more, though. Like I said, he was provisionally 28 points down of Payson Johnson. If, and this is a big if, England goes on to win this moto, and Johnson somehow doesn't charge forward and get some points in this thing, suddenly he's down to just 3 points down. That's what I'm saying. England going out and winning these races, doing himself a huge favor, just letting it all play out behind him. And he has been dynamite tonight here in the Pacific Northwest as he tries to claw his way up to Tyler Lang, who in his own right may very well take over the points lead here. Lang only 3 points back as it sits right now of Johnson. Clearly going to pick up the points lead. Johnson would need to finish right behind him as it currently runs to keep the points lead, but I don't think Johnson is in a really good position to do that, personally speaking. We'll see whether or not he finds his way forward late in the race, but right now things are all kinds of topsy-turvy. Can't forget that Braden Carter's mixed up here as well. And this 250 championship is going to be blown wide open. A lot of it just depends on where Payson Johnson gets to. We'll keep an eye on this front group for a little bit longer, and then I definitely want to go back and see how Johnson fares through the field. I don't want to keep too much close eye on this championship battle yet. I mean, we still have 4 rounds to go after this, but when it's something as monumental as this is, because Payson Johnson has had the points lead at every single round so far this year, and it is just not going his way in this moto. So last time we saw him, he was 37th. Has he gained any positions? Is he going backwards? Spencer. I guess he must be up inside the top 30 because I definitely didn't see his name. All right, I'm going to go back and find him again. 29th, so he did gain some positions. Let's go on board with him here. See what lap times he's able to run. He looks like he might be in freak out mode a little bit. Over pushing some ruts. Not getting a good drive through the rollers. 32.3. Obviously in traffic, so it's not going to help him whatsoever to try to fight through this group, but not close to what he can run for sure. So it's closing up here on 243, who just went down in front of him. Nice job to cut up underneath. And is this his teammate Prin? I think it is Prin. It looks like a Panini rider. It's so tough to tell from this back view, especially when they're wearing that chest protector. Kind of reflects off it a little bit. Oh, Johnson. Oh, my. How did he ride out of that? Got a lot of pressure right behind him now. This is by far the most stressful situation Johnson's been put in all year. Obviously, I mentioned that Southwick Moto 2, but at least in that one, it's so early in the season that you don't really have the weight of the championship weighing on your shoulders at that point just yet, because you just have so much time to gain it back. But at this point, losing this much of a chunk of points with only 4 rounds to go after this, man, that's going to be a detriment in his title hunt. And coming up on halfway into the moto, he's gone from 37th to 27th in about, give or take, 8 minutes. So he's making good progress, but he's just got to keep that ball rolling. He can't override the track. He can't think about that championship scenario. He just has to think position, position, position. Find the next guy on the track, catch him, pass him. Don't think about anything else. Finish up this onboard lap with him and see if he goes any better than that 232. Looks like another rider was down that, almost looked like another Panini rider. Goes up to 26th. And he gained a lot of time on, I think that's perhaps Cale Braden on the Elevated Motorsports KTM. It is. He's getting a little sideways, but Johnson just squeaks by, and this is going to be a good lap. 30 dead through traffic and a couple mistakes at the beginning of it. So Johnson moves up to 25th, and he has a gaggle of riders ahead of him to get up inside of the points perhaps. I think Donovan is P20 right now, and Johnson's not too far back of that. We'll have to come back here again and see what exactly is shaking down, but it's still Luke Sullivan leading, and that lead is extended because Tanner Rogers has taken over second. Eaglin is now third. Cross now fourth. Isaiah Dickerson has come up and he's taken over fifth, and then Lang and Carter are now battling it out for sixth. Honestly, at this point, I can't believe the points day Colby Eaglin's about to have. He is picking up so many points on his nearest rivals. Obviously, he's picking up a lot of points on Payson Johnson as Tyler Lang somehow didn't fall off the bike right there. That save was huge. Needed that one big time, did Lang. So Lang zigzags his way down the hill. Now behind Carter, though. And Lang was up in second, remember. It was going his way pretty well. Kind of unfolding a little bit the wrong direction at the moment for him. But still has to keep his head high because it's pretty likely he walks out of here with the championship lead, given the scenario as it is. Colby Eagland is going to be smiling ear to ear after this one is over. If it stays the way it is currently, he'll still be smiling ear to ear. 1-3, not ideal in terms of points gaining, but finished ahead of every single one of his championship rivals, both motos, wins the overall, and really most importantly gains a huge chunk of points on Payson Johnson. How about Luke Sullivan out front? Talking about ear-to-ear smiles. I think that this kid's going to be having one of the biggest ones of it, as he is just having the ride of all rides right now. Ride of his career to this point. And he really just looks like he is kind of having fun with it. It's not one of those rides where it looks like he's overriding the track or pushing the envelope or really even worried too much about the fact that he's leading coming into the late stages of a pro national. He's just putting in a good, solid moto, and obviously with that fifth in the first moto, if he can win this second one, pretty much guarantees a podium for the day. Just throwing whips and having a good time. Eagland's moved up to second, so more points gained. That'll be 22 points for the second moto finish, and again, keeping an eye on where Payson Johnson is or where he might get up to. This is obviously going to be something Colby Eagland wants to keep a close eye on. Haven't seen Johnson scroll across the top yet, but he may very well have already passed up inside of the points paying positions. In fact, I'm thinking it's pretty likely since we haven't seen him yet, so let's go back and find him and see how far into the points he is. He's ahead of James Wilcox. He's now 18th. Did a 2:29.9 last time by. Trying to go around the outside of Frank Jackson. Backs out of the challenge. This is, I think, a good sign to see for Payson Johnson because while he probably is going to lose the red plate here tonight, it's a lot different of a ride, I feel like, than what we saw at Southwick, where it just for 15 minutes straight was a disaster almost. And then he finally crowded together, and I think he got up to 12th in that moto. Still has 10 minutes to work with, and he, I think, I mean, 8th isn't impossible. Probably going to more likely settle into this battle here at some point, though. Meanwhile, this battle is actually pretty good here. We got Benjamin Saves, Jacob Hubbard, Alex Kerr, Jonathan Alexander, Cooper Hunt, and Brandon Nygren, who's off the track, and that's going to be another spot perhaps for Payson Johnson as Nygren gets back on. Johnson just coming over the finish line jump. He must have just put a good lap down. 29 dead was our points leader, up to P17, and continuing to try to charge forward, maximize his points in the moto here. Some of these guys, I almost feel like, I think Nygren knew that Johnson was passing him for position right there, but it does almost look like they're like, what, I'm already getting lapped? Because, yeah, normally Payson Johnson's the guy coming through and lapping you. Just the cold, hard facts when you're the red plate holder. So up to 16th now, Johnson. Going to try to run down Saves, Cooper Hunt, Jonathan Alexander all going up Horsepower Hill. Alex Kerr and Hubbard side by side over the top. Whew, Kerr throwing some filth at the top. And Hubbard almost fought back down the inside to get it back, but 352 holds it on. Copeland, who was up front early on. Christian Lautzen having a good ride on the 733 Impact machine. Trevor Burns, Tanner Rogers, Isaiah Dickerson, Zoa Cross, Tyler Lang, Braden Carter, Colby Eaglin, Luke Sullivan. So Sullivan continues to lead, 22 minutes down, 8 minutes, 2 laps to go, until Sullivan is crossing the finish line for potentially his first career Race Factory Gaming 250 Moto win. And Eaglin looking to pick up yet another overall victory here tonight with a 1-2 performance, pulling in some serious points on his nearest rivals. But here is the man who next week will possess the red plate at a pretty likely clip at the moment. He's running in 4th. Tyler Lang is behind Braden Carter. Was only 3 points down to Payson Johnson entering this moto. But Payson Johnson just had a horrendous first 10 minutes. And even if Johnson can fight up inside of the top 10, it is pretty unlikely that Lang walks out of here second in the championship still, given the current situation. So we'll have to see if that's how it stays, or if Lang really falls apart late here. He's still ahead of Cross. Rogers just got a little sideways, so he's going to get passed by Dickerson, who crossed over there. Trevor Burns, Lautzen, Alex Kerr, Hubbard, Copeland, Alexander, and Johnson. So Johnson is now caught up to this next group here, and he's going to get to the inside of Jonathan Alexander. I think that's 14th? No, 13th now. Like I said, 8th is not impossible. If he gets 8th, I'd be shocked, but I'd be like, yeah, kind of get it. Johnson squaring off to the inside of Copeland, scrubs it hard, and Copeland, I thought he might have gone down there. He almost had nowhere to go. Johnson nearly left him with no chance. So up to 12th. Payson Johnson, this is impressive stuff. Like I said, that Southwick moto, a lot different than this one. This one, he is turned on the afterburners and seemingly is doing a pretty good job of maintaining it. He's not overriding. He's just putting in the moto he knows how to put in, and clearly it's faster than a lot of the people on the racetrack. So because of that, he'll just naturally start catching these guys really fast, and to the point where they really can't counter. They don't know what hit them almost. Now already closing up to Kerr and Hubbard. We're battling it out for 10th, and this might be a move inside of the top 10 for Johnson, who swings around the outside trying to get Hubbard. Not going to get it done just yet as the 46 machine shuts the door. Hubbard a little out of shape, so Johnson has to check up and ends up not getting the same drive that he liked to get through those rollers. 31 dead, but mixed in with traffic, and Hubbard, oh my gosh, that save from Hubbard. How did he keep it on 2 wheels? He was 45 degrees to the direction of the track, and it just somehow corralled back together. So next up, Alex Kerr for P10. Johnson already closing up, trying to put some pressure on him. Look at that, right around the outside Johnson goes. Into P10, incredible. And P9 only 4 seconds up the road of him, but it's another 15 seconds to get up to P8, so 9th may very well be where the road comes to an end. As Luke Sullivan continues to lead, 18.2 seconds out front, and seemingly not much standing in his way. Let's actually look at where lap traffic is. So he's got 3 minutes and 2 laps to go. Oh no, Sullivan down. As we go on board with him, he goes over the bars. He's gonna get up still with the lead. But he is suddenly in much more danger than he was before because he cannot fall again. Eaglen would either catch right up to him or take over the lead if Sullivan goes off the bike once more. So he's just got to settle down, got to get back into that zone that he was in. Through the rollers, Sullivan still checks in as the leader, but there comes Eaglen trying to go 1-1 here today. Braden Carter coming through in third. Much better moto for him on the 32. Mentioned Tyler Lang running fourth. Will keep that points lead. Or I'm sorry, take that points lead away from Payson Johnson. I'll have to do a little bit of math after this one is over. But as it stands right now, Sullivan trying to hold on to this moto win. It is still Eaglen in position to win the overall, as mentioned, with that 1-2 moto scores. He would certainly love to go 1-1. But to go 1-1, he has to take one away here from Luke Sullivan, who has led just about this entire moto at this point. Seems like he's doing a fairly good job at corralling it back together. It looks as though he's going to have 2 to go next time by, though, because he's still got about 2 minutes on the clock, so I think for his sake, he was kind of hoping to see that 2-lap board come out next time by, especially with Eaglen closing that gap down 6.2 seconds now. Obviously gained 10 seconds that last lap alone, but coming down under 6 seconds now. At this rate, not out of the question, Eaglen might just catch him on straight up speed. Eaglen's been really good today here at Washougal, and he needed this coming from fourth in the championship to try to challenge those top 3 riders. Under 5.5 seconds now, down to 5.1. Eaglen's still charging, laying down the gauntlet. Almost to the point now, I think at the top of the hill, yeah, he could just barely see Sullivan peeking out of sight on the other side there. And he'll obviously have looked at his pit board, but suddenly you dangle that carrot in front of you, you can suddenly see the rider you're trying to catch. Different story for sure. Really kind of ignites a fire in you a little bit. So 29:41 on the clock. Poor old Luke Sullivan is just gonna miss that 2-lap board as he comes down to the flag this time by. 29:52 on the clock as he crosses the line. 8 seconds, he missed it by 8 seconds. He's got to go 3 laps instead of 2, and 8 seconds was the difference. If he loses this thing on the last lap of the race, oh, he'll be gutted. But time has now expired just after they cross the flag. So 3 to go here at Washougal, and Eaglen is trying his best to run down Luke Sullivan and steal his first ever moto win away from him, and instead go 1-1 here today at Washougal, clawing some huge points back in the championship. When we last checked into Payson Johnson, he was up to 10th. Keep an eye on those scorecards going across the top of the screen to see where he is now. I believe he is still in 10th last time I glanced up there, but I'll have to check as he comes through this time by. Eaglen, Carter, Lang 4th. Dickerson still running 5th. Cross is 6th. Rogers is 7th. Trevor Burns still holds down 8th. Jacob Hubbard is in 9th. And Christian Lausen is now 10th. Alex Kerr runs 11th. And Johnson has dropped back to 12th. He's right behind Alex Kerr, trying to make that move back around him. But just another thing to keep an eye on as the points continue to shift. So Sullivan, 3.9 seconds. That gap is coming down. Sullivan extends it back out to 4.6 seconds. Got the switchback really clean. And at least for the time being, it's staying pretty measured as Sullivan works around some lap traffic, and he's going to breathe a huge sigh of relief to go over the step up and see on the map how big of a gap he has ahead of him until the next lapped rider. He very well could go 2 whole laps without getting to them. Gonna be stoked about that as it's 4.3 seconds. Now 4.2 second lead, and whoever that is on the Husky is giving him fits there. Not sure who that is, but calm down, son. Johnson has clawed back up to 9th. Payson Johnson in 9th. You can see Eaglin coming through. 2-lap board out. Luke Sullivan is trying to win his first ever Race Factor Gaming 250 class moto. He will end up on the podium overall if he does it, and he goes down as the 2-lap board comes out. Sullivan is down, and there goes Eagland to the race lead. Oh, and Carter goes by for second. It's heartbreak in Washougal. Sullivan, who has led every single lap of this moto, has coughed it away with the 2-lap board out. It gives his teammate some extra points in this championship. I don't think he cares one bit about that. He's going to be so furious right now that he just coughed up this lead. And he's going to go right back after Carter already. Definitely not over yet, especially with these 3 still fairly close together. Carter made a little bobble and lost some time to Eaglin, but the top 3 fairly nose to tail. Sullivan only 4 seconds off. Oh man, this is going to be so much of a bummer here for Sullivan if it doesn't start panning out the other way now. It was going so well for so long, and Eaglin has now found himself in the lead here late, potentially looking at 1-1 scores on the day as Johnson runs 9th. Johnson will pick up 12 points in this moto with that 9th. And because of that, Eaglin picks up another 13 points in the championship if it stays this way, bringing his gap down to 15 points off of Payson Johnson for the lead. But Carter has something to say about it right here, and we have lost Luke Sullivan as Lang crawls up into 3rd. And Sullivan, who led across the line when the 2-lap board just came out a moment ago, is not even in a position on the podium in this moto anymore. How quickly fortunes change. And instead, Braden Carter has the fire in his belly to go after the 24 here. Eaglin is not going to have this moto win all to himself. And remember, as I said at the end of the first moto, Carter 27 points back of Johnson, as Eaglin was 28 points back, provisionally speaking, of course. But Carter does not want to be behind Eaglin in the championship. So as the white flag waves, Carter is going to try to win this moto. It will not win him the overall, but it holds him ahead of Eaglin in the championship hunt. Eaglin now would be 18 points down of Payson Johnson, and Carter would be 14 points down. So he's trying everything he can to make this pass back. So either way, as it stands, we're going to have a flip for the championship lead because Lang, who has moved up to 3rd, is going to outscore Payson Johnson by plenty of points in this one to take over the championship lead. So these guys will be 15 and 18 points respectively behind Payson Johnson, but he won't have the red plate anymore. They got to start worrying about Lang a little bit. Roy Mitchell down on the outside, coming up. Horsepower Hill one final time. Left side of your screen, Eaglin. Right side of your screen, Carter. A battle for the win here in Washougal. Lang still holding 3rd. Sullivan has dropped to 4th. I mean, it's just poor Sullivan. It's such a good day, a 5-4 day. You cannot be upset about it too much as Carter 50-50 grinds a SpongeBob there. And that might do it there for Eaglin to get away and go 1-1 here. But back to Sullivan real quick. 5-4. I mean, that is a really solid day. You tell him he's going to get 5-4 at this race before it starts. I think he'd say he would take that for sure. But you got to feel for the kid. Leading so much of this second moto. His first career win sitting right in front of him. and it all comes to tears when the 2-lap board came out and he crashed 2 corners after that. So Eagland gonna see a huge jump in the championship points. He's gonna go from 4th to 3rd in the standings. He will only be 15 points provisionally behind Payson Johnson, although Lang will take over the points lead, so he's gonna be about 20 down in the championship, but he was 34 points back as we started here tonight, and he's gonna come down into the final corner. So long as he makes it through the rollers here, Colby Eagland's gonna have a huge points night here tonight as he comes through a 1-1 performance today. Colby Eagland wins at Washougal. Carter crosses in 2nd, gains some good points for him. Lang ends up 3rd, so literally 2, 3, 4 in the championship end up 1, 2, 3 in this moto. Luke Sullivan is down before the finish again, and it's going to go 5-5 for him today as Dickerson ends up crossing the line 4th. Poor Luke Sullivan. Gutted. Absolutely gutted. And Tanner Rogers is going to come across in 6th behind him. Zoe Cross looks like he's going to be 7th. And look at that, Payson Johnson, like I said, 8th wasn't impossible. And it turns out 8th was definitely possible. He's going to get up to 8th, which means it's going to be 16 points between him and Colby Eagland, and 18 points between him and Brayton Carter. But he does lose the points lead with P8 there today. So that's going to be 20 points gained for Lang this moto. And 13 points gained for Johnson. So a 7-point swing. It was 3 points. Now it's a 4-point lead for Tyler Lang in the championship as he assumes the red plate. The first time since WW Ranch, the opening round, that Payson Johnson has not led the points. Christian Lautzen ends up inside the top 10. Great ride for him. Trevor Burns crossed the line 9th. We didn't see him. Hubbard ends up 11th. Cooper Hunt will pick up 12th in this one. 13th for Tyron Tomich. 14th for Jacob Hellquist. Dylan Copeland comes down, and he will pick up 15th in this one on his Tagger Designs number 35. 16th for Jonathan Alexander. 17th looks like James Wilcox trying to outduel Frank Jackson. He goes down, and Frank Jackson picks up 17th. Can Wilcox get up in time? He's trying to get it righted. He's going to go off the track and back on to pick up 18th, 19th to Donovan. Benjamin Saves down the last corner, and here comes Brandon Nygren. Benjamin Saves is just getting going. Kyler Hockey wants some points. Who wants this final points paying position? Nygren's trying to get the line. Oh, and Saves goes down. So Nygren gets the final points paying position. Hockey just misses out. Saves coughs up points in the last straightaway. And Hunter Braun crosses the line 23rd. Let's see if Cuts changed anything. Wow, once again, Cuts didn't change anything. So 4-point lead for Lang in the championship standings, which means Eagland is 20 points behind Lang, and Braden Carter is 22 points behind Lang, but 4 points down now. For the first time all year, not possessing the red plate, Payson Johnson has lost it. Colby Eagland has won Washougal National, and that was a crazy 250 race. All right, we're going to send it to a quick commercial break. We'll be back on the other side of this break with the 450 action here tonight from the Ride365.com Nationals round number 7 at Washtoogle. We'll see you guys in just a moment.
just like your mind. Like the sun gives into the moon, into the night. Time continues marching, it slowly crawls. With each new one starting, I recall. You came into my life just like another season. Not so long, just a time, just like another season. You came into my life just like another season. Not so long, just a time, just like another season. Come my way this season. The seasons come and go like thoughts of you. Like a wave returns to the sea, into the blue. They change but in a cycle that I can't lose. Each painful but delightful to live through. You came into my life just like another season. Not for long, just a time, just like another season. Maybe this time next year you'll reappear for no reason, but I'll cherish every day until you come my way this season. The seasons turn and change just like your mind. Like the sun gives into the moon, into the night. Time continues marching, it slowly crawls. With each new one starting, I recall. You came into my life just like another season. Not for long, just a time, just like another season. Maybe this time next year you'll reappear for no reason, but I'll cherish every day until you come my way this season. Each time of year carries memories, like a never fading whisper in the breeze. Oh, we will keep on changing all over again.
Welcome back, everybody, to round number 7 of the 2020 Ride365.com Nationals in MX Simulator. My name is Kellen Brauer here at Start Your Systems, and we are set to bring you guys the action here tonight in this 450 class. A lot of good things to talk about here. Obviously, that 250 race was kind of insane, so let's try to get settled back down and settled back in to tonight's action. We're going to start off by talking about these qualifying times, though, which these guys had a little bit of a shortened time this week. The track kind of came out a little bit delayed, similar to what happened last week in Millville, so a little bit less track time than normal, but still about a day or so of qualifying time in it, and we're going to take a look at these times here. Jack Haley, 2:21.1 over Alexis Leclerc to 2:21.8, so Haley trying to lay some claim into this championship hunt a little bit better. Walter Gebhardt, Bryce Wheel, and Daniel Mills mixed in there as well. Adam Holm down in 8th on a 2:24.4, now officially assumes third in the championship with Colton Mitchell out, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Looks like we had 48 guys run laps, so pretty likely we get a Consi still. 37, Sean Smith back to Lewis Williams on a 2:49.6, so about 19 seconds separate our guys that would end up in the Consi for qualifying. But here's the championship standings, and actually Mitchell would have been out of this anyway. Obviously I forgot because he had a terrible Millville, but I'll tell you why in a second. So Alexis Leclerc has 267 points atop the championship standings. Jack Haley 255 and Adam Holm 226. So you got that 12-point gap between Haley and Leclerc. Holm 29 points back of Haley. Pretty much out of this, but I mean, we've seen some crazy things here tonight already, so can't say it's all out there just yet. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Colton Mitchell because big news this week in MX Simulator. In case you haven't been following it, maybe you don't look at RaceFactorGaming.com or whatever, but Colton Mitchell, who's obviously 4th in the championship right now and has been a key player in a lot of the 450 championship hunts of late, has been indefinitely banned by RaceFactorGaming.com, and this is a lesson to all of you out there that continue to think that this is okay and that you should do this and this is just funny and whatever. He key shared again with Russ Chapman. Russ Chapman has been indefinitely banned already from the game for key sharing, which is essentially giving somebody else your key to play for you. Colton Mitchell let Russ Chapman play for him, and therefore Colton Mitchell has been indefinitely banned from Race Factor Gaming competition. Unfortunate, because obviously he was kind of mixed up there in the championship scenario a little bit, and he's been a huge threat indoors recently too, so we'll probably lose him for the 2021 Moto Option Supercross Series next year as well. But you just can't do that. Russ Chapman did it, Jesse Mullins did it, Colton Mitchell's obviously done it, a lot of people have done it, and you do the crime, you got to serve the time essentially. So no Colton Mitchell anymore. Really down to just those 3 in this championship hunt, and you will not see the number 6 system decal rider out there anymore. So just some food for thought before we go racing here tonight, which will be the Consolation race first. It looks like we have 9, 10. How many people we got? We have 10 people in the Consolation race. 4 need to go through. So let's find out who they are right now as we're off and running at Washtoogle. 330 trying to get to the corner first. That was Lewis Williams on the wrong bike, but he's going to get there and get it done. Lewis Williams leads him through. Casey Ohlert right there, going to get past actually as Neil Wells snuck up the inside and almost got collected as Ohlert comes across the track. So it's a drag race up the hill. Ian Holman here. That Luke Magnetti on the 107. Kind of surprised to see Magnetti up in here. It is. And Ian Holm that is, goes down. So Ohlert takes the lead from Williams. Wells coming down the hill right behind him. And Magnetti moves up into 4th. Off the track goes Neil Wells. So that is going to cost him a transfer spot as he goes down. And Jet Wisdom instead moves up into that 4th and final transfer position. So Wisdom comes down the hill. Leon Ty right there as well. Jack Fowler, Logan Heagney. So a lot of guys still trying to fight their way in. We've already lost a couple people off the back. Neil Wells, Ian Holm, and Jeremy Wisdowski all down early, it would appear. What just happened? Magnetti just went to the lead, and somebody just went down on a Yamaha. So things getting flipped upside down. So Magnetti takes over the lead. Lewis Williams now sits 2nd. Leon Ty down on the inside moves up into 3rd, and Logan Heagney is now in the final transfer spot in 4th. Jack Fowler is now in 5th. Casey Ohlert is 6th. Neil Wells is up to 7th, and it was Wisdom on the MXLocker.com 403 that was down there in the trees Not sure what just happened, but it gave Magnetti the lead, and suddenly things have shuffled up here as we come to the end of lap number 1. Lewis Williams going off the track, so he drops back to 4th and loops out and drops back to 5th, or 6th actually I should say, because Ohlert went by as well. Ohlert's going to go into 4th. He got around Jack Fowler, and now Ohlert finds himself in that 4th and final transfer spot. So Williams and now Neil Wells moves back into 6th, or actually he and Fowler appear to be swapping positions back here. We got 3 riders mixed together. Jet Wisdom also trying to get in there. So despite all that early crashing, it still seems like it's anybody's race as Wells slides out, and Ian Holm also takes advantage, as does Jet Wisdom. Whoa, who just launched? Wisdom sending it to flat on the wall jump. Not sure if that's a time saver or what have you, but he still does it nonetheless. Drag racing up the hill they go, and up to the top. Oh my goodness. Wisdom almost landing on the back of Jack Fowler there. That was a little bit too close for comfort, I would say. And now around the outside, Jet Wisdom just blows by him and leaps down the hill to make that pass stick. He's still got to go get Williams and Ohlert ahead of him to get into a transfer spot. But at least for right now, that was a good move there. Whoa, somebody coming from off track. That's Leon Tai. And he now falls out of transfer spot, but he's going to get it right back. So Leon Tai finds his way through. Oh, Williams trying to fight up alongside. Oh, scrubs in his face. Just laying it over there and launching deep into the sand. Leon Tai now having to respond to a little bit of the flare and flash given to him. Lewis Williams giving him the business there. Rider down, Magnetti, and Williams hits him and goes down. So Lewis Williams, just as he got into a transfer spot, goes down. And Magnetti, who was down with the lead, gives it to Logan Heagney. Heagney, Ohlert, Tai, Magnetti. Our top 4 is now down. Tai hits the deck in the rollers. Jack Fowler's going to come through and try to take that spot. Lewis Williams might jump up alongside of him and get it away from him anyway, and he does. Lewis Williams into the final transfer spot again. So nobody wants it as Williams now goes down. Fowler goes back into the final transfer spot. Leon Tai goes by. There goes Neil Wells and Jet Wisdom along with Ian Holm. So all these guys still mixed together. Wisdowski in 10th is the only man not still circulating. He has called it an evening here. My oh my, so the top 3 have separated. Jack Fowler in 4th still has Leon Tai right behind him there. Leon Tai on that 131 EBR machine. So Jack Fowler swings around the outside, and Leon Tai is trying to get the drive up the inside the hill. Up Horsepower Hill they go. Jack Fowler's off the track. He comes back on. Actually probably gained some traction there because he went on the flatter part of the track around the outside there. And Leon Tai now is like, hey man, can't do that. So gonna try to figure out a way through. Goes to the outside here. Might have an inside move up to the next corner. Not quite able to get there. Jet Wisdom sneaking into the picture here on the MXSoccer.com machine. So we got 3 different Yamaha teams dueling it out here for the final transfer spot. Leon Tai just goes right around the outside of Jack Fowler. Just gets that EBR 131 machine stopped into the inside of the next corner and completes that pass to move into the 4th and final transfer spot. But now he leaves the door wide open. Still keeps it on though, so Leon Tai not afraid to do any of that stuff. Jack Fowler whips it too hard, and Wisdom now moves up into 5th. So Jet Wisdom on the 403 machine, he's on the move. He's trying to go after Leon Tai. not letting the rider out of Great Britain get out of his sights. Throws a nice whipper tail as well. In and out of this little gully here in the back, and we're coming to the white flag. White flag has been taken by our race leader out front. It's now Casey Ollert, who just went off the track, actually. Magnetti, Heagney, and Leon Ty still in transfer spot, but Jet Wisdom rocking and rolling through the waves back there, trying to close that gap down. He's only less than 2 seconds off of Leon Ty. Oh, but that's not going to help. Tuck the front wheel a little bit, now 3 seconds off. That's not going to help either, as he almost yards it. Now 5 seconds back, and Leon Ty escaping here. We're down to, looks like, just 8 runners still going on the track right now. Somebody else must have called it quits, I think. Top 4 looking a little bit more safe as Leon Ty almost slides it out. Remember, only 4 go. So you got to be in this top 4 on this final lap of the race. Oh, Ollert's down. Should get up still in the lead, though, just as Magnetti is coming over the top of the hill. And so Magnetti, Heagney, and I believe Leon Ty are all going to close up quite a bit. Yeah, even Ty's only 6 seconds back. So that little front grouping, you know, if they get together, they really don't need to pass one another. But if they start messing around, maybe they go down, might drop them out of transfer spot. Kind of got to be careful here. Jet Wisdom is 9.8 seconds down in 5th. You cannot afford a fall-off crash, really, at this point for any 3 of these guys up front. You're pretty much giving up a free transfer spot. So as they work their way up into the back one last time and go up the big Washougal step up, it's looking like it is pretty nice and tidy for this lead group. Casey Ollert comes through here at the bottom one last time. He's just got to get through the rollers clean, and he is on his way to the motos on the Tegrity, however you pronounce the name. Crosses the line, picks up the win. Casey Ollert's won the consolation race. It is going to be Magnetti just beating Heagney, and Leon Ty does go through. Jet Wisdom gave it the old college try and goes down in the rollers right before the finish line jump here. So he'll get up and finish up in 5th. Ian Holm crosses 6th. Lewis Williams and Neil Wells having a battle of the worst back here, trying to figure out who's finishing 7th. It is going to go to Neil Wells over the line. Doesn't get the backflip, gets a half flip instead. And we wait for Lewis Williams as Jack Fowler and Jeremy Wisdowski did not finish this moto. Lewis Williams might be kicked too because he's taking his sweet time as he backflips and cuts her in. Let's see if it changed anything. It did not. So that is consolation race done. Ollert, Magnetti, Heagney, and Ty going to the motos here tonight on this lovely racetrack here at Washougal. I really like what the Race Factor Gaming track crew has done here as well. Really good stuff in creating the out of bounds sections of the maps these days. Because look, if you really do this, why am I being such an idiot? 0. There we go. If I really just started going over here, so if you, first of all, this is the edge of the map right there, that line where it goes from really nice looking ground textures to mediocre, I would say. But they have this surrounding texture that eventually runs out as well. There's an edge to this surrounding map that they have that is essentially just like an overlay at that point. And it too ends. But as you can see, it looks like they almost seamlessly around these different parts of the track connected it very well together. So just kind of trying to show you guys how well this is put together. And I'd imagine that the 3D or the overhead map that they have is, of course, Washougal below it. So as I go off the edge of the map here, no, actually they have nothing below it. So they don't even have a base. But I think Washougal should be visible. Should it not? Or they just really don't have the base. Guess not. You can see the step up because this is overhead. So here, look at my mouse on screen. That's the step up at Washougal. Oh, there's the MX Simulator logo. Never mind. Alrighty, 450 moto number 1 coming up next. Who have you guys got in chat? Let me know. We got Leclerc, we got Haley, we got Adam Holm. I mean, we got people like Chase Blakely out there. I mean, if you want to go off the wall and pick your man Joseph Pilsner, I know people love Joseph Pilsner in chat. So who you got? Yell it from the rooftop. All right, we got all kinds of picks coming in. It is Moto Sun sucks. Woogie 2901 likes Pilsner beers. Leclerc, and Chase Donovan has picked me, which is very nice, but it was almost never true, and in 2014, it shouldn't have been true. It just was luckily true one day. So thanks, Chase. I really appreciate that, but I've never been that good at this game to win a moto. Phlox has picked Andrew Wood, who again has one moto win to his credit. 2013 Southwick Moto 1, they would still here. He won the overall that day. He went 1-3 or 3-1, but I think it was the first moto he won. Man, I feel like I've been streaming forever, and I just peeked out my window and it's still light out. That blows my mind summertime, I tell you. Play and warm up and pull the whole shot easy. Look, I have raced back in the day when I was good. I actually would race occasionally, like to warm up for my moto. I would go off the gate with the 250 class on a 450 because I'd race 450 most of it. But I'd go off the gate with the 250 class and I'd still lose. Like I would get a whole shot because I'm in warm up and I get a 1.5 second head start in warm up mode. And I'd go off the gate ahead of them. They'd catch me. They'd go through me because I'm in warm-up, and I'd still get worked. Ricky Russell asking for my first-person settings. Yeah, I will try to pull those up real quick before the moto starts. If I remember right, I'm going to be wrong. I do FOV 110. I think the height is 10 and the angle is 5, but I am just guessing. I need to write it down somewhere. get in real quick and show these settings off. Excuse me. Alright, oop, wrong thing. This one, I was way off. Okay, so 110. I have height as 1, angle is 25, and the gimbal is 50. So the gimbal is like, it's more or less hyper smooth mode on your GoPro, so that like the gimbal kind of holds the camera a little bit steadier, even though the bike is bouncing up and down like crazy. But yeah, so 110, 125, 50 in that order. All right, folks, it's the big boys. It's the 450 class here at Washougal. We have many people picking Alexis Leclerc in chat. Nobody's on the Jack Haley or Adam Holm train today. Everybody thinks everyone's favorite Frenchman is about to dominate here in the Pacific Northwest, and we're going to find out right now. And we are off here at Washougal. Who's going to get that Atom whole Atom 8 Studios whole shot? Atom almost got there first. Kevin Gonzalez picks up the Studio 8 whole shot as the Atom.com fresh face boy on the number 33 machine joins Adam Holm on that Atom.com ride and gets a whole shot right away. He is leading Walter Gebhardt, but Gebhardt takes the lead away from him right away. Brandon Holmes moves into second early on. We got a BPC rider, I believe, on the outside. I think that's Deering on the 20. Getting up into the mix, it is Ash Deering. Surprised we didn't see Alexis Leclerc with a good start. Normally a good starter, obviously not anywhere near the front. Adam Holm actually came through in 8th after running wide in the first corner, so I'm curious. Leclerc may have gone down. No sign of Jack Haley in the front, though, as Andrew Wood has a 12th place start. And Gebhardt's going to hit the triple first time by. Let's see what people give us on the triple. We got a little whip. Brandon Holmes, whip, some scrubs. Nice. Just some scrubs. Scrub, 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 scrub. Everybody scrubbing. How about on the step up? We already missed Gebhardt, Holmes, Deering backwards, Davis, Peter Like side by side with Holm. Not really getting many of these people. Let's see. Leclerc, nice little flick. Somebody on a KTM in there got a little sideways. Not a lot of flicks. I thought we'd see people getting more turned upside down on this jump, but really it was pretty bland. So Walter Gebhardt coming on down. He's going to lead lap number 1 here at Washougal. And the number 5 Panini Motorsports rider just getting nice and sideways through the rollers. Leads lap number 1. But by the way, shout out Alex Efforts, Studio 8 whole shot award giver, if you will. He donated $5 in chat. He says, great job on the Pulp MX show Monday, and thanks for explaining how Super Chats work to Steve. That was hilarious, LOL. Yeah, Steve doesn't really get technology, which is annoying. So I want to set up like a studio that I can do some cool gaming podcasts and stuff like that in my office. Like, I literally already have the setup. I just need the microphones and the wherewithal to do it. I am terrible when it comes to setting up audio and stuff like that. So I had to ask Steve like some questions about mixers and audios and stuff, and I still don't really get it. So if anybody wants to email me and like help me out, that'd be awesome. But anyway, it's funny that I went to Steve for a question on like some audio help because I'm kind of confused on it. And then Steve has literally no idea how to like stream a video game or stream from your TV or anything like that. Like we started mentioning capture cards, and he just had no idea. So kind of interesting how that works. Like you just have very particular lanes of knowledge that you have or don't have, and I think it's annoying sometimes how people like shame each other for that. Like I don't know certain things that I probably should, and people are like, oh, you should know that, but it's like, who cares? So it is Gebhardt, Holmes, Gonzalez, top 3. Oh, Gonzalez just went down, so Deering goes by, Devin Davis goes by, and Peter Light goes by, and Jeremy Cohenauer goes by, and he's going to come back up in 6th. By the way, Devin Davis, I believe, is privateer lifing it out here now. He was telling me a couple rounds back because he was running some Takatoji Skins, but Mad Cape in his name, and he said he was going to join Mad Cape, I think was the plan. He just didn't have the skins yet. I think he's now gone full privateer. He's got this nice looking Suzuki setup, got some 7 gear. So Devin Davis, new team, new attitude perhaps, as he's trying to run down Ash Deering up ahead of him. Almost got into the side of the 20 there. By the way, I mentioned in chat, or I did mention just now that if anybody's out there that is good in sound quality and stuff like that wants to help me, that'd be awesome. I see Dylan Carlson responded and said he's a professional producer and can help. I would really appreciate that. Please just hit the contact form, startyoursystems.com, go to contact and email me, and just remind me who you are from the stream. And I'd love to start talking with you because I have some questions about some mixers and some other things. So anyway, thanks, Dylan. So it's Gebhardt, Holmes, Deering, top 3 still. Peter Leicht moved up into 4th, and Davis is trying to go around the outside of the locomotive. The man from Canada. Leicht has been at this for a long time. He was on a team I owned in 2012 when he hole shot and led the first 3 laps of the Washougal National in 2012. So Peter Leicht been around the block a little bit. Good to see him with a good start here. 450 motor number 1 as Davis shoots to the inside and gets that pass done. Leicht got a pretty good drive, so he's trying to out-drag him, but Davis is going to hold the spot. It's like Deering got around Holmes, so something happened. The rival decal number 62, because he was a little bit ahead of Deering, and now suddenly he's about a second behind him. I'd imagine just a little mistake. And now already a 12-second lead for Gebhardt. This is like the same moto. You see this on replay with Gebhardt, it seems like. The dude can run through the field, no question about it. He can get you a 4th starting outside of the top 30. But when he wins motos, it's never like he starts 5th and he just kind of grinds his way to the front and he passes like a fast dude to get to the front. I think he could do it. It just never works out that way. Every time he wins a moto, he gets a hole shot and starts checking out. Although, as I say that, he must have just gone down because Deering is only a couple seconds back of him. So Holmes and Deering now catch right up to Gebhardt once again. I like how Gebhardt's blitzing the rollers as well. A lot of these guys starting to hop through him. But Gebhardt, he goes like 2 or 3 in and then immediately starts blitzing them. Kind of cool that these 450s can carry that little bit more speed to get that done. Meanwhile, here comes Alexis Leclerc, your championship leader, 12 points ahead of Jack Haley in the championship, and I still have not seen the number 2 machine come through yet. Was he ahead of him? No, he wasn't. So I just wanted to make sure I'm not an idiot. So it is Leclerc moving up inside of the top 10 from a so-so start. Didn't really see what exactly transpired that caused him to have a bad start, but I'd imagine just a little bit of bar banging down the start straightaway may have caused him to either go down or just end up outside of the top 15 or so going to that first corner. But Leclerc usually one to get the jump on everybody and kind of control it. And here is Haley, who was your fastest qualifier. Haley 12 points down in the championship. Has to go through a new teammate to Leclerc, who we saw these last couple weeks on this Rockstar Husky number 19, Jeremy Siebold. Has really had kind of an up and down nationals. It's been really strange. He missed a 250 national at the beginning of the year, but still won the Southwick National. Oh, wow, how did they not make contact? Him and Haley just nearly made contact coming down the hill. But back to Siebold anyway. He missed a national in the 250 class to start the year, so he was already out of the title fight. Won the Southwick National on a 250F, and then I think he just didn't race one of the a couple rounds in between that, then showed back up at Millville on a 450 as Alexis Leclerc's teammate on the Rockstar Husky team. So Siebold now finding some new strength, or I guess determination, if you will, in this 450 class to show back up and continue racing in it. It was a little bit weird, not going to lie, to see him as the defending 450 Supercross champion, or current 450 Supercross champion, to end up in the 250 class outdoors. But I understand it because a lot of these guys do like the 250F, but in Supercross they've actually pointed out already, similar to some of the real life rules you can point out in Supercross, but the outdoor classes are wide open. Good to see him back on a 450 though, and challenging. Yeah, as we got a bit of a freight train brewing here. Leclerc, like Gonzalez, Haley in a line. Actually, wow, think about it. Look at this battle up here. Devin Davis all over Ash Deering. They're putting some pressure on Brandon Holmes. Deering just had a bit of a bobble. So good action here is Deering on the 20 and Davis on the 30 close up to Holmes on that 62. And it seems like this little soiree amongst them has allowed Walter Gebhardt to re-extend his lead. I'm not sure how big it is at this point, but he's not in the picture anymore, and he was last time we were looking at this front group. So Gebhardt now leads by 9.7 seconds, so clearly has done a good job of reestablishing that, seemingly pulling away from everybody at will. But this battle for second, great one. Deering is about to have a good drive up the hill. This might be a move on Holmes. Gonna pull up alongside, get the power down, and all the way up Horsepower Hill. Oh, Dooley's at the top of Horsepower Hill, and Holmes around the outside keeps it on and holds the position, and then immediately goes down in the next section and takes Deering with him. Davis trying to avoid the flipping bike of Deering, allows Leclerc to scoot on by in a second. So Leclerc gets a bit of a gift there, as all three of them just trying to find a way around each other, end up colliding with each other, and Davis, not wanting to get caught up in the melee, tried to avoid the flipping bike, and Leclerc, kind of unbeknownst to him, probably didn't even know there was a flipping bike, so just sent it down the hill. Got a little bit lucky there that it wasn't already in his path, but lands clear and now moves up in a second. So Haley, he's now sitting in fourth. He's followed them through. Siebold up here, Brandon Holmes, Gonzalez, Deering, and Holm now following suit with these guys as well. They head all the way up to the top here of the track once again. Hold on. Alex, who put my logos upside down? Come on, man. Putting my logos upside down. I'm kidding. I just saw that. That was kind of funny. All right, back out front, Gebhardt doesn't have much of a lead on Leclerc anymore. Must have just had a moment because it is suddenly really tight out front. Gebhardt and Leclerc, 1 and 2. 12 minutes into this thing, and we still have a lot of time left. A lot of time left indeed. But that does not mean Leclerc is in a position where he's just going to take off and run with this thing, because he's bringing Haley with him. Kind of interesting to sit on board with Leclerc and see where he's gaining that time. Leclerc, patented technique of just lugging the bike around and, like, I mean, just up the hill, shifts up to fifth so fast. So Gebhardt going to do everything he can to hold the lead, but he might not have a choice. He almost jumped off the track right there. Try to cut back and defend the inside. Leclerc just funnels in right behind him. Inside options. Leclerc, a little bit of a front wheel tuck there, but just stands it back up and keeps going. That's the stuff that I can't imagine how well these guys figure out how to do that. Just they almost go down, but they almost gain time because of it. They just like stand it back up and stand on the throttle and power out of it. That kind of stuff, that little technique that they have is insane. It is hard to learn stuff like that. It is quick reflexes, fast hands, good throttle control, a lot of those things all combined. And Leclerc keeping himself in the midst of this battle by doing stuff like that. Into the rollers. Wow, Gebhardt quadding in, but it looks like, well, actually he did kind of whoop through him again. I think Leclerc actually gained time though. It's a good question, Alex. Alex asked if Leclerc runs a shorter gearing, and that gives him the option to always look it out. Well, let me put it this way. I run the shortest gearing on the 450. I run -2 too. I've always done it. And I tried for couple months to learn Leclerc's technique because he was always posting setup videos. He was basically posting like how-tos with his setup on YouTube all the time. And I was like, man, I just want to be fast. Like at this point, like I just want to try to win motos and stuff. So I tried to learn his setup. I don't get it because like I would try to do the same things he's doing, shifting up and going through all this stuff like that. And I would either lug out really bad or rev out too quick. Like, I don't know how he gets in 5th and then stays in the lugs like this. Like, it doesn't ever top out, it seems. Never got it. So, I don't think he runs -2.2. I think he actually runs something along the lines of like 0.2 or something like that. So, it's a little bit taller of the short gearing. But yeah, it's definitely unique. Oh man, and Leclerc almost tucked the front wheel again in that same corner. I'll tell you what, Walter Gebhardt doing a pretty good job keeping him at bay. And Haley's now up into 3rd, but he's losing touch with these guys. Seabolt now is 4th, Davis has dropped back to 5th, and Holm coming through in 6th. So we're starting to see a lot of the same perennial front runners we have up here, and I don't want to miss out on this action out front because Leclerc has been hounding Gebhardt for laps after laps so far. At this point, it does appear like it might need to be a mistake out of the 5, which he's already had a few this moto. So Gebhardt, a little flick on that scrub table and then tucks to the far inside. And he goes middle here and then tries to like quad in, just goes a little bit farther. And this time he's actually not going to do it. He's going to start jumping through. So maybe he picked up on what Leclerc was doing behind him because it seems like Leclerc's gaining time by jumping through there. Gebhardt was kind of just treating it like a whoop section, and it appears like it was costing him enough time that he finally realized what was going on there. And Leclerc is really putting the pressure on the Panini Motorsports number 5 machine now, trying to find some different lines. Man, there's a titanic battle for the lead. Not a lot is happening just yet, but you just... Oh, and Leclerc just made a big mistake. That might give us enough time. Yeah, I'm going to try to do it real quick. I want to do a rundown through the field. So this one is brought to you by Ride365.com. You know where to go, Ride365.com. One-stop shop for all your gear and hard parts needs. Great place to find some cool stuff for all your moto enthusiast wants and needs. Ride365.com bringing this top 20 rundown, which is led by Walter Gebhardt. Panini Motorsports number 5 continues to lead the way from Alexis Clare on the Rockstar Husqvarna number 1. 3rd goes to Jack Haley on the Jack Daniels Racing number 2. And 4th is Jeremy Seabolt on that Rockstar Husky number 19 as well. 5th, Devin Davis. New team, new effort. Same fast Devin Davis as he's up inside of the top 5, challenging these guys most of the motos so far. 6th for Adam Holm, atom.com number 17. Holding down P6. 7th for Kevin Gonzalez, his teammate who grabbed that hole shot on the number 33 machine. 8th, Brandon Holmes, rival decal number 62. 9th for Chase Blakely on the BPC, number 21. 10th right now is Jeremy Cohenauer on the number 13 MV Films ride. And 11th for Ash Deering on the BPC, number 20. 12th for Dylan Long on the TG, number 117. Talk about some flamboyant pink-ish magenta gear. I think that would be magenta, right? Pink magenta, pink-ish. Dylan Long representing. Daniel Mills on the JDR number 31 holds down 13th. 14th for Thomas Wilcox on the C4 Designs TM Factory Racing at number 27. 15th for Luke Magnetti, straight out of the Consolation race on the BPC number 107. 16th here is Braden Castellaneta on the Nova GFX number 221. 17th, Austin Eklund on the 37 Odyssey MX machine. 18th for Casey Ullert, straight out of the Consi as well on the Integrity number 66. 19th for Seth Garrett on the VlastMX.com number 92. And 20th, Hunter Porch, MV Films 47. Reed Young on the Integrity, or T-Gritty, number 42 right behind him. And that is a top 20 rundown brought to you by Ride365.com, and we missed it. Of course we did. Alexis Leclerc has taken over the race lead from Walter Gebhardt, and it appears it was a crash because Gebhardt is now back into third behind Jack Haley. So Haley's now having to figure it out and try to go after Leclerc, although it seems like lap time wise he might be catching him a little bit. Yeah, actually 2:25.2 last time by to a 2:27.1. Puts that together again. He is gaining 2 seconds a lap. That is going to be interesting to watch. So let's go on board here with Haley as my microphone needs some WD-40 there. So Haley gains a little bit of time, loses a little bit of time. Leclerc is in free air now, so that might be a different story. We'll see lap time check this time by whether or not Leclerc having a bit of open space allowed him to run a better time. .4 seconds, so the gap coming down a little bit here at the bottom of the hill. Jumps back out to 4 seconds. Leclerc is working through some lap traffic as we go through all this stuff, so just got to keep that in mind. Haley really clean through the rollers, 2:24.8 to a 2:26.3, so Haley is still catching him and just put in his best lap of the race. So this is actually going to be interesting to watch. Can Haley just straight up catch and pass Alexis Leclerc? 12 points down in the championship, so he has really got to start doing stuff like this. Three seconds now. It's coming down a little bit. It's definitely pushing the envelope, but Haley, whenever he gets in these zones, it just seems like he can almost do it comfortably. Oh, and as I say that, he just pushes the front wheel. He's coming in a little bit too hot there. So Haley loses all that time. He's 7.5 seconds down now. Siebold has got around Gebhardt as well. He's up into third. Gebhardt is still right on him, though. See if the number 5 can put some pressure on the 19. Well, he just lost a bunch of time coming out of that corner. Devin Davis having a lonely 5th place ride right now and hoping it stays lonely. Does not want Adam Holm to reel him in. Who is down here? Oh, it's Lapped Rider. Chase Blakely still 6. Gonzalez dealing with Ash Deering a little bit here. Deering on that number 20 machine. They go down by the mechanics area. Different line options inside Gonzalez. Deering goes middle. And they both tuck to this far inside, and Gonzalez does not get it very cleanly. Deering didn't get it really that clean either, to be fair, but as they drive up the hill, you're going to see Deering try to tuck to this outside on Gonzalez. and power along these rollers. Has to check up just a little bit. Just saw, I think, Jack Haley flash through our screen as they're going on the step up the other direction. So coming back down the hill, and actually I just noticed up front, Haley's bringing that gap back down to 4.3 seconds. So mistakes being had perhaps for Leclerc as Deering might get the pass done on Gonzalez. He powers out of the inside and wheelies all the way off the plateau and shuts the door on the 33. Again shuts the door. Gonzalez tries to cut back underneath, but Ash Deering, what a pass there by the BPC number 20 machine. Just riding the rear wheel a la Mad Skills motocross style down the hill. And in the end, completes that pass. So let's go back to the lead real quick and see where this gap is. And see if it's coming down again. 28.9, Haley had that mistake. But Leclerc ran a 28.4, so all is fair in the end, essentially. And the gap basically remains stagnant this time by. So I want to go back on board with Haley for a little bit longer and see maybe he can bring this back down a little bit. I just want to see if it's closing up for about a half a lap here. If not, we'll go find another battle. But I think Haley might be reeling him in. Man, the speed that these guys can carry, just riding the rear wheel over those rollers, it is just insane. And then almost not even letting off through here, narrowly avoiding lapped riders. Doesn't hook that inside rut. That's going to cost him a little bit of time there as well. And yeah, it seems as though Leclerc has done a good job at managing at this stage of the race. He's got little over 5 minutes still to work with here, or 4 minutes. I am just all over the place. He's got 4.5 minutes and 2 laps still to work with. So Leclerc trying to at least just manage it from this point. Haley's doing everything he can to kind of throw caution to the wind, launching out into the sand here, although surprisingly not launching as far as we saw some of those 250 riders going earlier tonight. They're just sending it. Looking like Blake Baggett launching into the Texas 12 at Freestone. Now Haley's, I don't know, man. 4 seconds. It doesn't seem like that much on these cams. Like, you can't see Leclerc when you're on board with Haley, but I mean, this thing is pretty close. That's all it is right there, folks. That little jab in the camera. And you can see as Leclerc comes down here, Leclerc is 2.5 of his jumps through the rollers before Haley enters, and Haley now 3.7 seconds down as they come across the finish line jump. This time by, it's only going to take a couple weird things out of Leclerc out front, and Haley is going to be right on him. And I hate always missing this stuff, so I want to stick with it. I know people are going to be mad. They're going to go on the forums or comments on the Discord after and say, oh, Kellen only watches the battle out front or watches the championship fight or whatever. But hey, man, these two are some of the best in the business right now, and if they're getting this close on the track, I would much rather watch them slowly try to duke it out with each other than go back and watch somebody backflip in P17. Just saying. We're going to try to see if these guys get closed up because it's coming down. 2.7 seconds is the gap. Haley's trying some different lines, just trying to keep it smooth. Oh, he got a great drive up horsepower hill here. And then look at this, stays left, so he just stays a little bit lower, right off the side of the track there. 2.1 seconds, it's coming down. And look at through here, I just can't believe the speed he carries right there. That is insane. Down at the bottom of the hill, he's gonna get hard on the brakes and try to get to this rut, and he does it this time. That's a huge time gain right there. And he can see Leclerc, he's coming up all over him. That's it, folks. Leclerc and Haley, number 1 and 2 in the championship, number 1 and 2 on the track, literally number 1 and 2 on their plates. And it is on at Washougal. 12 points in it in the championship. This is the go time Haley needs right now. He has got to start clawing these points back away from Leclerc at all costs. As they're going to go around Leon Ty to put the 131 machine a lap down. Oh, Haley slides out a little bit. It's just cat and mouse at this point. They're just going back and forth, like trading mistakes, if you will. And Haley just kind of biding his time. As they come by this time by, it's going to be 3 to go because there's about a minute left on the clock. So as Leclerc jumps in here, and Haley is much closer this time by than when we last saw it, although Haley just messed up the end of the rollers, I think. Didn't end up that bad. It just seems like Haley's able to carry a little bit more speed through these sweeping corners. The tight corners, Leclerc has got pretty dialed right now, but Haley on these sweeping corners where you're really carrying momentum, he's just so good at that stuff right now. Closing up even ever so much more on Leclerc. So around the outside, then low lines it, then goes to this middle rut to low line again. Haley on the move, and Leclerc sweating some bullets. Haley switched up his line to go to this inside here after nearly crashing a few laps ago. Like the subtle changes there. And then he gets a great drive up this hill, just tries to land kind of far left, and then three-wheelie this, and then just carries so much speed. Oh my gosh, it's insane. I mean, Leclerc is matching him pace for pace up there. It's really just the same thing. It's just that Haley's doing it just a little bit better, just ever so slightly better, just enough to close that gap down. And that is it right there, folks. Almost nothing in it between our two leaders as time has now expired. So 2-lap card out next time by. And Haley putting the pressure on the Frenchman, the defending champion, the outdoor national champion, Alexis Leclerc, and the 2019 Supercross champion, Jack Haley, is on fire here in Washougal. Half a second in it and a 17-second gap back to Gebhardt. So it's really just the two of them to settle this battle out front. And they're going to have 2 laps to figure it out as they come into the back section here. Haley goes middle, Leclerc goes inside. So Haley, once again, didn't get the inside rut clean last time by, changes up his line. I like it. Find something that works for you. Now trying to think to the outside here. Might show Leclerc a wheel. Backs out of the challenge, but he's still right on the number 1. I just can't. We saw Holm get taken out by Leclerc's lag last week at Millville. I can't imagine how Haley's able to do this. He's nearly alongside him now, though. As they come down to the finish line jump, it's almost bar to bar this time. As Haley tries to go around the outside, he's going to have to go to the inside here, and this is not the preferred line. So Leclerc just holds it, and there's the contact, the lag that I was talking about. That was a little bit of the lag there coming into play, and Leclerc is going to get a bit of a gap to work with now. So you can't really fault Leclerc there because he was in the line already. So the lag is just kind of unfortunate. Leclerc obviously playing right now in Picardy, France. Jack Haley's playing in El Paso, Texas. And the server based in New Jersey. So it's, I guess, kind of between them, but really it's much closer to Haley than it is to Leclerc. And that's why you get a little bit of that delayed ping lag. Leclerc, it was a bit of a talking point on the forums this last week because Adam Holm was bringing it up about, I can't think of the name of it anymore, but essentially trying to predict where Leclerc is a little bit better because he keeps getting taken out by that lag. And it's a fair point to bring up, but you also got to give Leclerc some credit because he really tries pretty hard already, I think, to let these guys have some room when he can. This isn't over yet, though, folks. Despite Haley getting put down a little bit, he's already got closed back up pretty quick. And his corner speed right now is just unreal, seemingly so fast in and out of the corners. So the battle continues. Gap coming down. Lap rider of Ethan Parks moving out of the way there. And can Haley get this thing close enough here as they're coming to the white flag? 2.1 seconds. Let's go on board with them and see. Gonna have to make it happen here pretty quick. A little mistake there, cost him some time. Oh, Leclerc had to avoid a downed rider, and it is on again, under a second. And remember, Haley was really good through the rollers last time by. He goes to this further inside rut, gets a little cleaner drive in. I mean, they basically match each other. That's as close as you can get to matching each other through there. And then Haley rips through this rut, and he's also really good through these couple corners here. He kind of squirrels his way in there, so he lost a tiny bit of time. But white flag is out here at Washougal, and Jack Haley's trying to go after Leclerc around the outside, trying to go back to the inside, and Leclerc concedes for a moment, but tucks back in to cover the position. And they are just matching each other's pace. Haley going to come up right behind him on this wall jump. Dangerous there with the lag a little bit. Then he goes to this inside rut here. He likes it a little bit better, and Leclerc made a mistake. Haley alongside trying to shut the door to the inside of the corner. He's going to give Leclerc the inside, and Leclerc messes it up. Jack Haley leads at Washougal. Up Horsepower Hill, the number 2 almost loops out as they go over the top. And he's done it. Now can he hold it? Unbelievable action here as Haley has done everything he can to win this moto. He's thrown everything at Leclerc. Now can Leclerc respond with half a lap still to go? Down through the midsection and through the S-curves one more time, and Haley's so good through here. Gets it nice and tidy, stands it back up, drives out of that corner so well. And Leclerc, I don't know if he has an answer. I think Haley is just that much better this late into the moto. So Haley launches into the sand one more time. Coming into the final third of the lap. Up the big step up one more time. Scrubs the table. Leclerc is still there, just trying to force the issue late. It could come down to the rollers. Haley has got to get those rollers clean. Outside, cuts back underneath. Gets through here fairly clean. It's 1.8 seconds as they come through here. And into the final corner as Haley has got to get the rollers clean. Got to ride her down. I think he's got it, folks. Leclerc through the rollers one more time. And Jack Haley wins moto number 1 at Washougal. Leclerc has to settle for second. But what a titanic battle between our title combatants. Unbelievable. Gebhardt able to come through and get back into third to salvage a third in this one. Adam Holm is battling with Seabolt. This is a good battle to the line for fourth. Seabolt gets blocked a little bit there. I think that was Peter Like on the 83. So Seabolt gets Holm, but Holm's going to try to go outside, get a better drive into the rollers. Oh, Seabolt got it so clean, though. So Holm can just get as close as he can. Seabolt crosses the line fourth. Holm fifth. And Davis battling with Blakely to the line. The battles continue going. And Blakely goes down. So Davis going to pick up sixth. A bit on a freebie there as Blakely has to remount. He's going to do so before Gonzalez gets there. And Davis crosses the line in sixth. Blakely's going to get seventh. Gonzalez should be eighth. Barring something from Cohenauer here late, Daniel Mills is going to get up inside of the top 10. Through the rollers, Gonzalez is going to come across eighth. Cohenauer will just get Mills to the line in ninth. And back to Thomas Wilcox coming down the hill here. Looks like he'll be 11th, no problem. Brandon Holmes here in 12th. Sean Klein has clawed his way up into the points. First we've seen Klein all moto long, but he's up to 13th, and he might still get 12th. Depends on the drive. Holmes a little out of shape. He's trying to get going again. It's going to be a drag race. Klein has got a good run. Holmes sideways down. Holmes is down, and Klein does cross in 12th. Now does Holmes get up before anybody else gets there. Here comes Austin Bear. And no, actually, I'm sorry. It was Carpenter who ends up crossing the line 13th. Holmes, I think, got hit by Leon Ty. He's going to cross the line 14th, though. Reed Young ends up 15th. Seth Garrett's coming down. He's going to end up 16th in this one. Dylan Long jumping through here. He will be 17th, just ahead of Braden Castellaneta, 18th. And Casey Ollard comes across 19th. And Bobby DeSalle rounds out our top 20 here with 1 point in this moto for 20th place on the 341. Magnetti, he's going to come across in 21st to give us cuts. So a lot of close battles. Let's see what changed. Looks as though Castellaneta got Dylan Long for 17th on cuts. And that's it. Haley, confirmed winner, Moto 1 here at Washougal. Incredible battle. And that's what we've been waiting to see pretty much all year. Haley and Leclerc, mano-a-mano on the racetrack. And this time it goes to your 2019 Supercross champion, Jack Haley. Claws it back down to 9 points between himself and Haley in the championship. And let's see if he can repeat that performance in Moto 2 and maybe even bring it a bit closer as we're going to head into those final 4 races of the season. Bit of a break here, though. 5-minute break scheduled. So if you guys have anything you'd like to chat about right now, I'd be happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns in the chat. I am here for whatever you need. So go ahead and ask away. All right, let's see what we have got here. Danger Zone 12. Where would you rank Jack Haley all time for 250? He had a perfect season outdoors and won the 250 East title. Close to top 10, I would say. Yeah, I'd probably put him like 8th or 7th. Because like there's guys like Jeremy Smith, Dennis Fjellberg, Jeremy Siebold even. They have won a ton of races in 250s. And Haley only spent 1 year in it, so yeah, I'd put him like 7th or 8th in 250s all time. How's it going, Griffin? Good to see you, buddy. Andrew Pekin wants to know, would you do announcing on NBC? Absolutely. At some point in my life, that is my goal, is to become, a broadcaster of some sort for real motocross or real supercross. The honest truth of it is that I hope that's after Weege retires, because I think Weege is straight up a better announcer than me, and I really enjoy listening to him, and I don't want to take any positions he would take. I would prefer to listen to him, to be honest with you. But I hope at some point in my life that's something that I get to do, is call real-life motocross and supercross. Steve Harris wants to know, how was the Pulp MX show? It was awesome. I love going in the studio and being on Pulp. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me being on Pulp. I don't know. I've never really enjoyed listening to myself, so I'm like the worst critic of myself. But obviously a lot of you guys listen to my commentary here, and so I feel like people enjoy listening to me on Pulp. But it's always a good time. Steve is a really good host of the show, I feel, and I feel like he likes having me in the show, so it makes it better for me. And yeah. Never ever would have guessed a year ago at this exact time that I'd be on Pulp MX show in studio co-hosting. So I'm still kind of blown away that it happens, but anyway. Reno Bandino wants to know, where would my backflips at Redbud top 10 stream moment? Yeah, I mean, they're pretty damn good. I liked it. I don't really have like a top stream moments. I should, but there's so much racing that goes on. It's like by the end of the year, I'm like, I don't even remember half of the things that happened. I am not streaming the 2020 MXS Loretta Lynn's race. Look, I really did actually want to. I like Loretta's. I've streamed Loretta's before. It's really fun to kind of talk about people you don't normally hear about. But to be honest with you, the fact that I'm going to have to rebroadcast the GPs at some point and going on Pulp this Monday. So if I did Loretta's, for example, it's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, right? If I did Loretta's, I would have been Pulp Monday, rebroadcast GPs Tuesday. This broadcast right now, Loretta's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So from pretty much Monday morning when I drove to Vegas until Friday night after Loretta's is over, I wouldn't see my wife or daughter. That's how it is. I wake up at 7:30 every day, get online at 8 to do my job at Racer X, which I do until about 4:30 or 5 p.m. And then right now, it's start the stream right after that to do this sim broadcast until, we usually end at pretty much 9 p.m. We're going to go past that tonight. And then I wrap it up at 9 p.m. I make sure the stream gets uploaded, yada, yada, yada. If I feel like I still have a voice, I try to record another video for SYS. And then I'm hopefully in bed by about 10 or 10:30. But I've barely seen my wife and daughter at all today. So, yeah, doing that 5 days in a row and essentially 6 doing it Saturday, there was zero chance I was going to be able to accomplish that. Who does better this summer, Savachi or Sexton? I pick Sexton, but I think that you could make a case for either. Newborn's doing great. She's happy and loving life, which I'm happy and loving that she's here, and yeah, healthy and good. Parade lap right now, by the way, so if anyone's like, why am I not talking about the race? It's a parade lap for Moto 2. Alrighty, folks. Time to get revved up. One more moto on the docket here tonight. It is 450 moto number 2. Want to go find Leclerc because I want to see if he can get a better start than he did last time around. He got a little bit pinched. Had to deal with some people swarming around him, but it's time to go racing here. 450 moto number 2 at Washougal. Who's going to get the Studio 8 whole shot? A little bit of a wheelie for Leclerc, so Gebhardt beats him to the punch, and it's going to be Kohenauer to the corner first. Does he get out of the corner first? Yes! Jeremy Kohenauer's Studio 8 whole shot award as he leads into turn number 2, but Adam Holm down the inside on the 17atom.com ride takes over the lead right away as it's Holm from Kohenauer. I think we see Daniel Mills. Jack Haley's up there as well. Jack Haley's got a good start. Haven't seen Leclerc mixed in just yet. I'm looking for the number 1 plate. Didn't quite see it as it's Holm and Kohenauer leading them through here at the back. Looks like Sean Klein's got a good start as well. I think he's up in 3rd. Actually, looks like he's up in 4th battling with Haley, but Adam Holm going to be stoked on this start. Kohenauer did pick up that Studio 8 whole shot award. So, RaceDirectorGaming.com president just making cash on cash, stacks on stacks. Picking up another whole shot award here. Already under attack, though. Daniel Mills putting some pressure on. Ooh, Sean Klein got a big kick. Big whips on that. Launching out to flat, and Haley's already passed Klein. He's up into 4th. So this is good news for Haley. We've got to keep an eye on where Leclerc is. As Mills, I thought, almost going through the front door there. Oh, Mills just laying it over so hard, trying to get to the inside of Kohenauer, and he does. Nice move, 31. Makes that pass. Now Haley tries to go around the outside of Kohenauer. He's got to know he's there. Oh, and Kohenauer shuts the door hard and then gets stacked up, so Gonzalez hits him. Davis comes flying in. We got Like, there's Blakely. Davis gets into Like, and Kohenauer losing several positions. Still did not see Leclerc once through there as Adam Holm leads lap number 1 through. Where is Alexis Leclerc? He's absolutely buried at this point. I didn't even see him inside of the top 20. His teammate Jeremy Siebold is dead last right now in 39th as Holm leads the way through. Good news for Haley to start up here at the front and not have Leclerc breathing down his neck or way in front of him. So talked about it at the end of the moto, 9-point lead in the championship. Now for Leclerc. Could it be bigger or lower after this one? At the moment, it is definitely going to be a lot lower. Keep an eye on the top of the screen. I want to see where Leclerc is after the first lap. He is 17th, is Alexis Leclerc, 18 seconds off the lead, but he's got a host of riders to go through, and that is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. So Klein up into 3rd, Mills is 4th, Gonzalez is in 5th. We got Peter Like up here, just got passed for 6th. Chase Blakely down the inside goes into 6th. Austin Eklund goes into 7th. Like now up to 8th. Bear is in 9th. Kohenauer is in 10th. DeSalle up to 11th. Wood 12th. Carpenter 14th. And Leclerc already up into, Carpenter 13th and Leclerc already up to 14th. He's got Devin Davis right behind him. And Braden Castellaneta, and I think that's Gebhardt perhaps back there as well. Rider down, Leclerc gets into him, somehow stays on 2 wheels again. Gebhardt down to the outside as Like I think that was on the 83 going off the track. Leclerc has to check up behind Gebhardt, gets around Castellaneta, and Devin Davis got around all of them. So now he's just off the front of these guys. Gebhardt around the outside, now turns into the inside. They're all stacked up as Austin Bear was down. Leclerc getting a little bit of a front end lock, it seemed like, through there. And now he is behind Gebhardt, so he's in 13th. As they're working their way up the hill. Oh, Leclerc scrubs down next to Gebhardt. Gebhardt's trying to shut the door. He's going to go long into the sand, perhaps. Oh, Leclerc almost onto the back of Carpenter. Gebhardt still keeping the power down, trying to keep Leclerc behind him. Going to scrub down this uphill step up hard. Leclerc going deep down the inside. And Gebhardt around the outside holds the spot. Carpenter playing a bit of a pick as Davis tries to hold both of them behind. And Gebhardt gets into Carpenter, and Leclerc fortunately just avoids Gebhardt sliding across the inside of his nose there. So Leclerc continues on his way, and next up would be Carpenter that he's trying to get around. Davis still just up the road. And I think that's Kohenauer on the 13. That's now a little bit further back as Leclerc peeking inside of Carpenter. 43 machine trying to whoop his way through. Holds the spot. Now Davis under attack. Leclerc looks inside trying to get both of them. Not going to work. And Carpenter actually gives Leclerc a little bit of a love tap swinging to the outside there. Maybe Leclerc wasn't expecting it. So has to rethink his maneuver here and actually might get it done anyway. Carpenter swings wide. Leclerc to the inside and stays up. But Castellaneta around the outside is going to get around him. Leclerc launching down here. He's going to go to the outside, so he's going to get Castellaneta back because he's going to jump across here. No harm, no foul in the end, just a little bit of lost time. Kohenauer right behind DeSalle, who goes down. DeSalle now off the bike. So Davis, Carpenter, Leclerc, Castellaneta all going by. And the 42 of Reed Young, and just in time gets up in front of Luke Magnetti. So it is frantic action going on back here. These guys are all over the place as Kohenauer is being passed by Davis, and Kyle Carpenter also trying to find his way through on the 43. So Davis and Carpenter wanting no business of Leclerc, instead are pulling away from the number 1 machine and putting the pressure on Kohenauer. Davis has already gone by. We've got a rider down. That's Eklund on the 37. Austin Eklund down, losing some positions as Carpenter makes the move stick on Kohenauer, and Eklund loses that spot to Leclerc, who went to his inside. Thought Eklund might power around the outside, but he decided to back out of the challenge there and let Leclerc go. Now Leclerc around the outside is going to try to get Kohenauer. Got the drive there, got the pass done. And back after Carpenter he goes. So Leclerc up to 9th. Already making some good progress, but one thing that is hurting him a little bit is being in these battles for as long as he already has been. He's lost a lot of actual time on track to the leaders. Inside move, trying to get Carpenter, at least try to show him a wheel. It actually cost him some time, and Kohenauer goes by. Dangerous track re-entry a little bit for Leclerc. Got to be careful. Last thing you want to do is re-enter the track unsafely and take out the president of RaceFactoryGaming.com. You might just well get a suspension for that, but I don't decide the penalties. I just know that that has happened before. So Leclerc gets around Kohenauer in the rollers and sets after Carpenter and Davis again. They just continue to be the guys he's got to get. So Haley's taking over the lead from Adam Holm while that was going on. And the number 2 machine looking to go 1-1 here at Washougal. At the very least, brings the point tally between himself and Leclerc down to 6 with 4 to go. Well, that would be quite an interesting battle shaping up down the stretch here. A lot of time left to play. Leclerc 26 down. Sean Klein with a good start. Daniel Mills still 4th. Kevin Gonzalez up here in 5th. Chase Blakely is in 6th. Devin Davis is 7th, and Carpenter is still right on him in 8th. As Leclerc trying to track them both down. Leclerc peeking up the inside of Carpenter. Might this be the move? He goes long at the top of the hill, and Carpenter has no response. Leclerc just forces his way through. Well, Carpenter might actually peek back up to the inside here. No, and Leclerc is going to try to charge to the outside, which Carpenter does as well. They both swing to that outside. So now Leclerc's next target would be Devin Davis. Number 30 machine at the bottom of the hill here in the switchbacks. Oh, man, Leclerc. I don't know how he rides out of some of these things. He gets sideways, and it's just like, it just seems like the bike kind of slowly corrals itself together. Really putting the pressure on Davis now, though. Davis launching into the sand. And Leclerc, he likes going long here. Look, he jumps really far at the top of the step up, really far to the bottom of the inside of the corner. But makes that pass stick on Devin Davis, who tried to power back around the outside but just couldn't quite get a nose in there. So finally, after several laps behind Davis and Carpenter, Leclerc makes the pass stick and is ahead of both of them and gives them the opportunity to continue the fight amongst each other. Carpenter has seen the back of this number 30 for the past 5 laps or so, and I think he's probably about tired of it at this point. He's going to try to change up his line into the rollers and make something happen. Quads in, and then just trying to kind of whoop across him, and Davis makes a mistake, and there goes Carpenter making that move. Leclerc already trying to open up a gap and head up after Chase Blakely. Gonzalez, Klein, Mills, Holm, Haley ahead of them. So 10 minutes in, things are starting to sort out a little bit. And Jack Haley's trying to sort out how many points he's going to gain on Leclerc in this moto. I think as it runs, Haley would provisionally take over the points lead, because he was 9 down. Leclerc currently sitting in 7th. Picks up 14 points for finishing there, so that's 11 points gained for Haley. Obviously not over just yet. Leclerc has got a lot of time on his hands to make some moves here. But that's just where the points sit currently. Ooh, rider down, Blakely. And Leclerc, nice job to switch up his line and not jump where Blakely was crashing. So it moves up to 6th, and that is 15 points. So 10-point swing, which means Haley has the 1-point provisional lead in the championship as they run. Kevin Gonzalez is Leclerc's next target up the road there a little bit on that atom.com number 33. And how about these guys finding new teams and just seemingly finding new ways to get up front? Because Gonzalez, he was pretty good on that Takatoji ride. No question about it. But I think this is the best we've seen of Gonzalez this year so far. Currently running 5th. Got atom.com teammates running 2 and 5 on the track right now. Similar to what we saw at a Seabolt at Millville in his first ride for Rockstar Husky last week. Claire already closing up that gap though on Gonzalez, and let's see what he does here. He triples in, triples again, then quad and triple. So smooth. 24.3 to a 29.3. I think he's catching him just a little bit. I'm not entirely sure, but I think he's catching him. Getting that power down and almost looping his Larry a bit. Outside to inside option. Gonzalez trying to hold steady, but Leclerc going to pull up alongside, get a little flick scrub, and try to get to the inside. He just goes a little bit further into the corner. Gonzalez has to concede the position. And Leclerc finds his way through up into 5th. So as it runs now, that is an even keel tie atop the point standings. 9 points gained in this moto for Haley. Leclerc loses those 9 points, obviously. And it is a dead heat in the point standings. But we still got 17 minutes and 2 laps of racing left to go here. And methinks there's still going to be some changes at hand. So while it's settled down here fairly early, I'm going to do an early top 20 rundown because we're not quite halfway through. But why not? The gaps are already seemingly established inside of the top 10, so let's figure it out here 13 and a half minutes into 450 Moto number 2. And this top 20 rundown is brought to you by the fine folks at Moto Option Clothing. Moto Option Clothing, title sponsor of the Supercross Series for 9 years. Incredible stuff. And they've been aboard RaceFactorGaming.com's program for a long time. Always some great support from them, and happy to have them on board with Race Factor Gaming all year long. So Moto Option Clothing bringing you this top 20 rundown, led by Jack Haley, Jack Daniels Racing number 2, looking to go 1-1 here at Washougal, and holding steady out front over Adam Holm on the atom.com number 17, who led early and has settled back into second, but doing a nice job right here. Daniel Mills, Jack Daniel Racing 1-3 at the moment as Mills comes across in third on the number 31 machine, and it's fourth for Evergood's Sean Klein. Evergood not really even like a team anymore, but Klein still repping him. P5 for the defending champion, Alexis Leclerc, the number 1 on the Rockstar Husky, has moved up into 5th. 6th for Kevin Gonzalez on the atom.com, number 33. 7th, Kyle Carpenter, Tiger Designs, number 43. 8th for Devin Davis, Privateer Lifing It on the number 30. 9th is Chase Blakely on the BPC, number 21. And 10th is Bryce Whelan on the Panini Motorsports, number 34. 11th for Austin Eklund on the Odyssey MX, number 37. 12th for Braden Castaneda on the 221 Nova GFX machine. 13th, Jeremy Cohenauer, MV Films on the number 13, matching his number. 14th for Luke Magnetti on the BPC, number 107. 15th, Hunter Porch, MV Films, number 47. 16th, Brandon Holmes, Rival Decal. 17th, Bobby DeSell, Glizzy Gladiator, 341. 18th for Reed Young, it looks like it's about to be. Reed Young on the Tegrity, number 42. 19th for Casey Ollert on the Tegrity, number 66. And DeSell actually drops back to 20th now. So moving up to 19th is Thomas Wilcox on the C4 Designs TM Factory Racing, number 27. And like I said, DeSell rounding out the top 20. Jeff Cooper is 21st on the Hemlock, number 32. And that is a top, or I should say Hemlock number 89. That is a top 20 rundown brought to you by the folks at Moto Option Clothing. So now we are halfway done as Haley checks in again out front. And second has changed hands. Daniel Mills moves up into P2, and it's a Jack Daniels Racing 1-2 here at Washougal, as Mills trying to be that buffer for his teammate Adam Holm, Sean Klein, and then Leclerc inside of the top 5. go back and find some battles. Gonzalez here, getting caught up by Kyle Carpenter, who just is relentless, charging forward. Not the same kind of charge as Leclerc, just a little bit off in the speed department comparatively, but still impressive stuff from Carpenter, who is just took a little while to get around Davis, but is catching this lead group seemingly at will. All over Gonzalez for 6th. Ooh, almost into the SpongeBob there. Carpenter got to be a bit careful. 22nd lead for Haley right now. I think he's feeling pretty happy about that. And less than a second in it between this battle of Kevin Gonzalez and Kyle Carpenter going at it for 6th. Carpenter trying to launch to the left side, but doesn't elect to go to that outside that we've seen Leclerc and Haley use to their advantage. So it goes back to that inside. Let's see if he has a line somewhere. He's trying to size up. I think at this point he's just trying to follow similar lines and wait for the opportunity to get a little bit better of a drive. Maybe on Horsepower Hill, perhaps. He's going to go inside here. They're on the outside. Gonzalez are going to be bar to bar going up the hill. Gonzalez might have the better drive, but Carpenter's trying to land a little bit smoother. And in the end, Gonzalez does hold that spot. Carpenter had to back out of the challenge just a little bit because he was almost looping out on landing there. So peeking inside. Drops down the hill, and finally Carpenter makes that pass stick. Up into 6th. Claire is now down to 1.8 seconds behind Sean Klein, so it's not going to be too long before he's all over the number 10 machine. See what kind of fight Sean Klein's able to put up here. Claire's really good in these rollers, so this might be his opportunity. He goes to the second from the outside rut, and he goes 3. Now goes 4, and then 2 before the finish line. 2:22.8. Leclerc ripping right now. Catching up to Sean Klein. Putting some pressure on him. Trying to get up there and ruffle the feathers of the number 10. This would, at least for the time being, provisionally help him keep that points lead. 2-point advantage over Jack Haley if he gets around Sean Klein, but Klein is putting up a good fight here. Number 10 machine, always feisty, usually in the 250 class though, and right now proving his worth in this 450 ranks. Oh, missed the inside rut though. Leclerc almost went down. Nice save. Meanwhile, Holm and Mills in a bit of a battle here. So Holm trying to get back around Daniel Mills, and Mills trying to be that buffer, as I mentioned, for his teammate Haley out front. The end goal is to keep Leclerc at bay, but if you can keep Holm at bay as well, you're kind of doing the same job, because you got to keep them really both at bay, essentially. But there's still a lot of time on the clock, 9 minutes, 2 laps to go here. So Mills has got a lot of work to do ahead of him, 25 seconds off of his teammates. So Haley looking pretty good to go 1-1 here today, I'd have to say. It's a safe bet at this point. Seems like so far, though, Mills has responded well to that pressure. Leclerc right on. Oh, Adam Holm has lost a spot to Klein and Leclerc. So now this is a battle for third. As, wow, that's Jeremy Seabold going a lap down right there. Oh, Mills is going down at the end of the rollers. And I think he's off the bike, so Klein is going to jump through into second. As, yeah, Mills was definitely down. Leclerc is suddenly up into third. And all that buffering for his teammate I was talking about is out the window. Leclerc is ahead of him, and he might be up in a second right now. Klein makes a mistake. Leclerc up the inside. Klein going back around the outside, but backs out of the challenge, and Leclerc is up into second. So there you have it, folks. Leclerc, damage control at its finest. He's 31 seconds behind Haley, so fairly unlikely he'll get there as Klein goes down out of third. Mills and Holm split him. And there's Seabolt coming through. He's a lap down. So Klein drops back to fifth, and Holm and, well, Mills just went down again. So Mills, running into some problems here, had himself second clearing away and has crashed twice to drop back to fifth. He's now behind Klein again. And Holm up to third, but the real story is Leclerc moving up to second, and this is just poor Haley, who just, unfortunately for him, as good as it's going out front, can't get a little help going on behind him, and Leclerc has moved all the way up into second, which means that point deficit is now back to 6 points. Haley will be 6 points behind Leclerc with 4 rounds to go if it finishes like this. Now there's 7 minutes and 2 laps still to go, but a 31-second lead is pretty safe for Haley to win it, and Leclerc obviously has a pretty clear path ahead of him now as well. Getting a crust to go on board with Haley for a lap, so I'm going to let you guys do that. I'm just going to sit here quietly and let you guys enjoy a lap with Jack Haley. Oh, a little wayward at the end there, but that was a lap by Haley. 2:25.3, so amazingly 3 seconds off of his best lap, which is a 2:22.3. Incredible stuff for Jack Haley. And me watching that right there, I definitely can't go that fast, and I don't really know where he would have lost 3 whole seconds. But yeah, incredible that was a 2:25.3. So what does Leclerc do to try to match him from behind here? And he lays down a 24.5, so pretty similar lap times essentially. Only about 8/10 between them. Go back to this battle for third, still going on. Holm and Mills trying to dispute it. Mills would like to get JDR up on the podium twice, if he can. Sean Klein in 5th, Bryce Whelan up to 6th, Carpenter still 7th. Gonzalez back here in 8th, Devin Davis trying to charge up and get Mr. Kevin Gonzalez for that 8th spot. And Kohenauer rounds out our top 10. He's just ahead of Eklund, Blakely, and Castellaneta all kind of in a grouping here. Bobby DeSalle, where's the leader? Where are they lapped up to? 22nd. So pretty similar to the other motos so far. Luke Magnetti's down. Gonna fall outside of the points because of that. And Jeff Cooper off the side of the track. Reed Young's trying to go around the outside of Hunter Porch. Turns into the inside here. Who's on the 2-stroke? There's James Ohashi on the 71. Oh, Mills and Holm together at the bottom of the hill there, so Klein is going to get a spot out of it. We go to the 2-stroke at the right time, and we see a bunch of chaos going on out front. So Mills gets up behind Klein. He's now down to 5th. Klein moves up to 4th. But here's Ohashi. Let's just listen to it scream. Ooh, almost into the side of Mills there. It was getting a little sideways ahead of him. Ohashi just out here ripping away. Oh, and Ohashi down and disconnects. Back out front to Haley. Will 93 in chat saying can't remember if there's ever been a Sim SX or MX champ on a Suzuki. Yeah, Tyson Fresquez. Many years. He won 2012 and 2013 Supercross title on a Suzuki. He won the 2012 outdoor title on a Suzuki. And he won the Arena Cross Championship in 2012 on a Suzuki. He won the EVS SX Open on a Suzuki. So yeah, 2012 was a Suzuki year for Mr. Tyson Fresquez. And he won everything. Klein's still ahead of Mills. Trying to run down Adam Holm, perhaps. Bryce Whelan still dealing with Kyle Carpenter back here as we're running out of time. Actually, time has expired here in Moto 2. So these guys trying to get those last-ditch efforts in to make a couple more passes. Looks like the overalls are pretty clear at this point, though. Haley going to go 1-1. Leclerc going to go 2-2. But all these battles back here is still trying to be sorted out as Whelan holds off the pressure from Kyle Carpenter. Actually not that far behind Mills at this point. Wheeling and K-Carp, if they could charge forward a little bit here late and maybe have a bit of fortune if Mills maybe has a bit of a spill here late. Kevin Gonzalez and Devin Davis still fairly close together, but these battles have stayed kind of stagnant in these last 5 or so minutes. All by himself is Cohenauer, Eklund, Blakely, Castellaneta, and Hunter Porch are pretty close together. They got, I think that's Reed Young coming up behind them. So more of the midfield battles going on outside of the top 10. That is Reed Young back there, Jeff Cooper, Wilcox, Ohlert, Magnetti, and Speck rounding out our points paying positions right now, and Sean Smith just went down. He may well just cost himself a chance at some points. So where are our leaders? Haley is heading into the back here, so he's looking at, oh my gosh, I can't believe the gaps between these guys right now. So 32 seconds back of Haley is Leclerc, and exactly 32 seconds back of Leclerc is Holm. So there's an entire minute between first and third right now. And look, I believe that this field is deep, and there is some serious talent stacked throughout the field. Daniel Mills, Sean Klein, these guys are incredible. Kyle Carpenter, I am not trying to say any of these guys are slouches whatsoever, but I do feel that it's fairly clear there are 3 riders right now in this class once you eliminate Colton Mitchell, and you could maybe make the case Gebhardt fits in this bill, but there's 3 guys that are just kind of above the crop right now, and it's really Holm, Leclerc, and Haley. And I think Leclerc and Haley are another notch above Holm even, so it's kind of crazy the disparity here in this 450 class. It happened so fast, where at the beginning of the year we were coming off of Supercross, and you legitimately had 6 or so guys you could make a case for potentially winning this outdoor championship as Holm just goes down here. And it is very quickly turned into really 2, but still 3 with Holm involved. Because, you know, technically speaking, this is an 11-round championship. If we were having a 12-round championship, this would be the start of the second half of the season right here at Washougal, with rounds 7 through 12 to come. And I'm kind of, I guess, shocked, and that's why I'm mentioning it, at how we're halfway through the season and it's pretty clear what the title fight is going to be. Don't often see that, I guess, in really anything, but MX Simulator particularly, you don't see that, because you usually have at least 3 or 4 guys still right in the mix through the halfway point, and then it starts breaking apart. But right now it is quite clear what we're looking at. Jack Haley gonna claw some really strong points back in his favor here tonight. He was 12 down entering. He's gonna straight up beat Leclerc in the first moto and just get a better start and pull way far away in the second moto, so Leclerc doesn't even have a chance. So there's going to be a 1-1 performance for Haley here today at Washtoogle, and he is going to be 6 points down in the championship heading into the final 4 rounds of the 2020 Ride365.com National Series. And I'd have to imagine that this kind of a ride today, particularly what happened in the first moto, big shot in the arm for confidence. Not many people can do that. Not many people can come from behind twice. You catch Leclerc, you fall, you catch him again, you straight up pass him, and you beat him. That is a pretty hard feat to do. Leclerc didn't fall, nothing changed, nothing was different, but Haley did it twice, passed him straight up and beat him in Moto 1. Moto 2, though, made it a lot easier for himself, and he's going to go 1-1 today. Jack Haley has won Washougal. Leclerc is going to settle in for second. He'll go 2-2 today and end up on the box. And Adam Holm will end up third. I believe he's going to go 4-3 if I'm not mistaken. But Walter Gebhardt, who did not finish this moto, we lost him pretty early on. He He was third in that first moto, but this one must have crashed out or crashed back fairly early and decided to give it up. Holm not out of the water as Klein's still trying to charge late, but it's probably a little bit too late here for Klein, trying to close this thing down. Gonna have to hope for a fall out of Holm, most likely. Looks like Holm is gonna get through pretty easily. Some riders down. Klein coming in as well. Holm's going to end up in that 4 spot, though, or a 3 spot, I should say. And Kyle Carpenter has got all the way up to 5th. He got around Mills. Mills trying to fight back and hold on to this top 5 here late. It is not over just yet, and it's really going to come down to those 13 rollers before the finish line jump. Who gets it the cleanest? Mills going to swing outside and try to get a better run into them. Carpenter does not get a great drive, and Mills pulls up alongside and then crashes. And Carpenter will take 5th in this one. Mills might lose 6th because Whelan is hopping his way like a rabbit through there. Mills gets up alongside of him, and Whelan does end up actually getting across the line in 6th. Mills ends up 7th. Kevin Gonzalez, he's going to come across here in 8th. Jeremy Cohenauer looks like he'll get 9th, and they did lap up to 15th in this one, so that's kind of incredible. It's going to be 10th for Devin Davis in this one. 11th is going to go to Austin Eklund. 12th for Chase Blakely. 13th, Hunter Porch. 14th should be Reed Young. Castellaneta was 15th. Jeff Cooper was 16th. 17th, Ollert. 18th for Magnetti. 19th for Wilcox. And 20th, final points bank position to Peter Like. Just waiting on Porch and Young to come down to the finish line. Bring it on home, and we are going to be done here in Washougal. Long broadcast. Man, nearly went 4 hours tonight. What was longer about this? I don't even know. So confused. Okay, so let's see any cuts. Looks like Magnetti got Ollert on cuts for 17th. And Mills got Whelan on cuts for 6th. And that was it. Everything else stayed the same. So Haley 1-1 at Washougal, 6 points down to Leclerc in the championship, who holds onto the red plate. And that is it. Washougal in the books. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this broadcast here tonight. A lot of fun, good racing all around. And yeah, we're going to have that rebroadcasted Latvian Grand Prix sometime a little bit later this week. And lots more still to come with 4 rounds of the National Championship and 2 rounds after the Latvian round is streamed of the GP Championship still to come. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in tonight. Of course, thanks to all of our sponsors, Ride365.com, Race Tech Suspension, MV Films, Moto Option Clothing, Underground RC, MXS Lobby, Tagger Designs. I think that's everybody. If I missed anybody, I apologize. But thanks, everybody, again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.